On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, Matt and Nick may have too many topics to talk about after the past few months of the Star Wars news drought. They've got all sorts of rumor and speculation pieces to cover, such as Qui-Gon in Kenobi, Din in the Book of Boba, and even a possible Ahsoka series description. After they're done lamenting the fact that leakers get credit for the same speculation they spew on the show, Matt will break down the latest High Republic comic, while Nick lays down Phase 2 for the books. They'll also have some Bad Batch episode count news, and a few new toy reveals to discuss before they launch into this week's fan segment, which features a Star Wars v Marvel Battle Bracket update, fan responses to the question of the week, and the top 5 Star Wars artist features of the week. Enough Star Wars for ya? Punch it, Chewie!
Hey now, everybody! And look who is first in line. It is none other than young Liam. Good to see you, my friend. The TikTok champion is here. He is gracing he's gracing us with his TikTok type of presence. So, hey now, that's how we're doing it. Welcome to the Star Wars Time Show. Notice how, I still did say it, didn't I, Nick? I said, welcome to a brand new episode of the Star Wars Time Show, which, again, makes no fucking sense. But this is a Star Wars Time Show, and we're not known to make sense, and that's why you all supposedly love us, or at least the 500 of you that have found us and have stuck with us, but forgot to tell the rest of your friends to exponentially grow the audience here. I feel like my mic is overly loud today, but I can't really tell. So
you sound good on my end.
Right.
I mean, you may be blowing out the eardrums of everybody on the other side, but you know what? We do this show for us.
That's right. For you, me, and the cats that like to limber around our keyboards while we're recording. But no, dude, we got a ton of Star Wars stuff to talk this week. Welcome back to a brand new episode. All right, bang bang, you got me. I fucked it up again. That's all right. We can keep that as an inside joke. It makes absolutely no sense. And there's my buddy Brian Harvey. Look at him coming in. He's dropping his bathroom habits on us. There we go. Is he taking a deuce? Is he taking a pee? Brian, just don't sit for too long because hemorrhoids can develop. I just hope that he doesn't have a 30-minute pee, because that could be an issue. That would be insane. Yeah, that's like Guinness Book of World Record type of shit. I mean, that's like he has a mutant bladder and an even more mutant prostate to be able to hold that shit back. Yeah. But hey, we appreciate everyone showing up to watch the opening hour of the Star Wars Time Show. And like I said, we have a ton of Star Wars topics to get into. As Nick was saying before we went live, they're not really meaty. They're not really substancy. Yes, that's a word. Look it up in the Urban Dictionary. I bet it's there. But there's plenty to riff on, so that's why we're going to start with Lord of the Rings.
Yes, we're going to start with Lord of the Rings. I mean, because, that is the most obvious subject to start with when you're on a Star Wars podcast, right?
Yeah, well, right? Nick, he hit me up last night, and he's like, oh, mighty keeper of the Star Wars Time Show microphones, will you please turn down your hot air for once at the onset of a show and let me talk about what I got into over the week? And I was like, you know what, Nick? I'm going to share my ball. Not my balls. I like my balls and Nick doesn't want them, but I'm going to share the ball. I'm going to let him kind of to kick off our opening segment, which is usually just us bullshitting about what we've done in real life in between the last brand new episode of the Star Wars Time Show. And it sounds like Nick went out to a movie theater, so he's not being smart, but he's having fun. So he went out to a movie theater with the lady love, and they made an event out of it. This wasn't just going to check out a movie. This was going to check out an opus. And what I'm talking about is, in my opinion, second best trilogy of all time. I can't put it in front of Star Wars, especially on the Star Wars Time Show. Although if you held a gun to my head and we really broke things down and just got into technicalities of filmmaking and storytelling, I may even say that Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings trilogy is the best movie trilogy of all time. But where we're going here, apparently down in Texas where the virus has been eradicated, so that's why Nick went to the theaters. Alamo was doing a marathon of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, starting with Fellowship, running through Return.
Well, so the way they did it was broken into, so you didn't have to sit for all 12 hours.
Pussy. Basically. You should have got an adult diaper, strapped yourself in, drank a bunch of Mountain Dew, pissed yourself, shit yourself, ate so much candy you vomited to enjoy Tolkien's masterpiece. But
so the way they did it was essentially, so this is 2021 is the 20-year anniversary of the release of Fellowship in theaters.
It's crazy.
And
I'm getting so fucking old,
like,
dude.
When I heard that, I was like, holy shit. But so what they were doing is they were showing the theatrical cuts of the movies, and it was over like roughly a 3-week period of time. We saw all 3 of them in 2.5 weeks. And at the end of the credits of each movie, they have a pre-recorded interview with Stephen Colbert as the host, and then for each movie there are different members of the cast or crew, and they do like a 40-minute long Q&A. So the first movie Q&A was with Elijah Wood, Sean Astin, Billy Boyd, and then
hey Nick,
Dominic
is it
Monaghan.
like a modern Q&A, or is this like they pull in archival footage, or did Colbert like round these guys up in 2020, 2021 to do this?
He got them all on Zoom, so like everybody was there.
Okay, that's pretty
Zoom.
cool. That's fucking cool. I like that.
And this was all set up by Elijah, because essentially like Colbert went to him and was like, hey, 20th anniversary, I know that we can't be in theaters and do anything, but would you be willing to do like an interview with me on the 20th anniversary of Lord of the Rings?
Right. And
Elijah was like, yeah, for sure. And guess what? I'll round up as much of the cast and crew as I can, and we'll all do them. Like, we'll all do Q&As with you. So the first movie was all the Hobbits. The second, so Two Towers was Viggo Mortensen, Cate Blanchett.
Oh my God.
And Orlando Bloom.
Oh my goodness. That's probably the 3 most beautiful people that acted in Lord of the Rings. I mean, Viggo, Kate, and Orlando Big Cock Bloom. Has everyone heard the legend of Orlando's penis?
I've heard it like a long time
ago. I mean, it was actually spotted in the wild back when he was courting Katie. I guess he was doing like some of that, what is it, paddle boarding? Where you kind of stand up, and he's like, you know what? I have a huge ass snake. I'm just going to paddleboard nude. And he did. And paparazzi or someone got him. But I've heard Howard talk about this a lot. Orlando is on the show and did confirm that he has a baby's arm in between his legs.
Yeah. Above average. So,
yes, much above average, like beer can.
Yeah, that explains a lot for Katie. And then the final movie was Peter Jackson himself.
Love that guy.
And then you had Ian McKellen.
Love
and
that
you had
guy.
Andy Serkis.
Love that guy.
Yeah. I mean, like the Q&As were really amazing. And then like Stephen, if you know Stephen Colbert, he's a massive fan of Lord of the Rings.
Hardcore. Like probably a bigger fan of Lord of the Rings than Nick and I are of Star Wars. Like,
yeah, I mean, like you could see the joy in his face. Like for every interview, like he would pull out you could see his replica, Aragorn's sword, Narsil, in the back, and he would like pull it out and he would show it.
Didn't Jackson give him a cameo in either The Hobbits or The Lord of the Rings as an elf?
It's in The Hobbit, yeah. And then he also has one of the 4 hero stings that was used in the Lord of the Rings movies.
Look at that. See, it pays to be fucking famous.
Yeah. So it was really a great experience. And for me, kind of like you were saying offline, Matt, is like you really haven't watched them in a while. And I hadn't either, especially the theatrical cuts.
Right.
So all of these were the theatrical cuts, the longest being 3 hours 20, 3 hours 30 with Return of the King. And Taylor had never seen Return of the King, period. Like, she had never seen that movie.
I was gonna say she hasn't seen them all. I was like, well, you probably made the smart decision not loading her up with the unabridged editions.
Well, I tried to. Like, the last time that I did an attempt at Lord of the Rings, it was when probably a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. And I tried. I was like, hey, you said you haven't seen Lord of the Rings, so let's do it. And I was like, we're gonna do it hardcore. We're gonna watch the fucking
that is hardcore
extended edition Blu-ray. Yeah. And we got halfway. Like, we literally got to the disc change in Fellowship, and it was over.
Yeah,
so
she was like,
nope, I can't do this.
It is. I mean, really. I mean, unless you're a hardcore Tolkien book fan, Peter and company, the editors, they really did a good job at trimming his visions down into theatrical releases, because most of the stuff that is in the extended editions are direct nods to iconic book moments. Exactly.
Like, it's stuff that you don't really need. And even in there, you still leave out,
plenty.
A lot of stuff,
Plenty.
Tom Bombadil,
right.
And a lot of the other things that are in these movies. Like, you don't get to see a lot of Faramir and Éowyn. So, like, there's still stuff that had to be left out. But, after I finished watching Return of the King, I basically, I messaged him out and I was like, dude, we just finished Return. And just for those of you who are interested, like, the way that the theater was set up is everybody has to wear masks all the time. And then we were the only people in our row.
That's a bonus. I mean, down there, I fear for your life. I know you're intelligent, but there's a lot of unintelligence going on, especially in the South.
They actually, like, Alamo Drafthouse, like, physically removed seats from rows.
Oh, okay.
To, make sure that there was no shenanigans and stuff like that. And you could only
good on them for keeping all that in place, even after Abbott's dumbass disbanded all the edicts. Yeah. So good on them.
So I mean, it was as safe as you can get in a theater. Obviously, you're still going to have, like, sometimes a person will walk past.
Well, the idiots that feel the need to fucking gorge their faces. I still, you've heard me bitch about this before, Nick. Yeah. And if you do like to eat in a theater, you know what? Go fuck yourself. But I think people that it's like they save a cheat day for the movie theater. I don't get it. Like, watch the fucking movie. You can't hear what they're saying when you're going, yum, 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 yum. I know I can't fucking hear it, and I'm sitting right next to you, and I can hear you chewing through your face.
Yeah.
I have that disorder, though. There is I forget what it's called. A lot of my family members have it, and apparently intelligent people will get this. So, Nick, I don't know if you have it too, but when you hear people eating, do you want to kill them?
It depends on the circumstance, but yeah, like, sometimes,
like, even if they're eating with their mouth closed, but you can still hear the chewing and what, like, nothing they can even do. Like, I'm talking, you could be a perfect mouth closed eater, and if I hear you chewing, there's a good chance I may reach out and just be like and slit your throat.
I don't ever get to that level, but I do notice it from time to time.
It's a disorder. Look it up, people. It is a true disorder where, as I said, Nick could be sitting there, mouth closed, doing his best not to, be like, rah, 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 and just me, even myself, like, when you drink water and you can hear it, like yourself, you can hear yourself, like the gulps. If I make too many gulps, I want to stab myself in my eye. So this is like blanket. It's I don't want to hear myself eat. I don't want to hear other people eat. Ask my wife, ask anyone that lives with me. When we eat, either the TV has to be on or music has to be on. If it's perfectly quiet, there's a good chance my family will be walking out of the dining room with forks in their heads. Even my little one, I gave her a pass because she was little.
She's a baby.
But even now, like at 5, I mean, she still eats like an animal. Like, there'll be shit all around the floor where she eats, or, she'll eat like my dad, like, yum, yum. And I'm like, God damn it, Charlie, you better fucking chew with your mouth closed or I'm going to smash your face.
Yeah, I don't get it to that.
All right. Well, you're saying I'm not, so carry on. Carry on.
I messaged Matt and I was like, and there is a link to Star Wars in this story. So I was just like going through, like, talking about the experience and everything like that, telling them that, basically I can see why, especially for Return of the King, Peter Jackson won Best Director. Because that movie is
that movie won what, like 14 Oscars? It pretty much cleaned house.
It won a lot of stuff. I mean, it won a lot of stuff that, like, back then, I mean, you have to remember 2000, like, these movies released 2001.
I'll never forget it because I just moved to Texas. Like, I got my big boy job out of college. They relocated me to Texas. I remember watching the Oscars just because the buzz was Return of the King is going to fucking clean house as a fantasy fiction movie, which never happened.
And that was the big narrative, is like, yes, it won a lot of the categories and stuff like that fantasy fiction usually does, you know, like best special effects, sound mixing, stuff like that. But to win best director for a movie like that, it had never happened before. Like, you know, all of like the highly regarded wins always go to some bullshit art film that 55 people saw and then the Academy likes. But it was the first time that, like, a movie that, like,
normal people like culture. Yeah, just fucking geeks, normal people, not the high art society.
Yeah, like, that movie came out and just blew it open, and he won best director. And then when I started thinking about it, I was like, you know, man, I really think that the reason that we all kind of, you know, people who weren't children when the prequel trilogy came out, who were older, maybe in their, you know, teens, early 20s, stuff like that, kind of around, like, you know, Matt, you were like probably what, 23, 24 when Revenge of the Sith came out. I was
25 when the prequel wrapped. Yeah, it came out in 2005, I believe. So I was about to turn 25.
Yeah, so I was like 17, 18. And, like, for people like us, like, the fact that Lord of the Rings existed at the same time and almost released in a very close cadence to Star Wars, I feel like that really affected the way that we perceived Star Wars. Because if you think about it, at the time, those movies, even though they're in completely, like, you could say that they're in completely different genres. One of them is a sci-fi, like, you know, action movie, and then one of them is like a high fantasy film. Like, at the time, they were both considered like, oh, this is like geeky nerd stuff. And, like, they were kind of pitted against each other. And when you compare those two trilogies next to each other, it is like, it's not even close. And I feel like that colored a lot of our perceptions of the Star Wars films, because you have this direct competition where you have some of the best movies ever made releasing.
I don't know. I mean, I kind of see where you're going, and I'm trying to put myself back in that era. You know, 99, Phantom Menace comes out. I go see it 10 times in the theaters. It's still my favorite prequel movie. So come get some, you Revenge of the Sith freaks. TPM is the best. Thank you. Discussion is over. Just go ask Sir Dork. But anyways, here's how I kind of take that. I kind of, after Attack of the Clones and I saw the writing on the wall, I was like, you know what? Mm-hmm. I can tell myself in my mind only so long that Star Wars is going to, it's going to redeem itself in the third movie, right? That, you know, I kept telling myself, like, you know what? TPM, awesome. Darth Maul, that was great. Attack of the Clones, hey, big set pieces. The clones. Yoda had a lightsaber, right? He had a lightsaber. You know, you're justifying everything, but you're like, you know what? Yeah. It doesn't matter. Episode 3, man, Anakin's gonna make his turn. That's what I've been waiting for. That's what I've been dreaming about ever since they announced this. And then that comes out, and after I saw that, that's when I finally had to sober up. I had to face my Star Wars reality, and that reality was that the prequels just did not live up to the standards that I had set for them. Yeah. Now, that's my opinion, but I believe most Star Wars fans, especially those of us that were adults during that time, will agree in some form or fashion that the prequels, while neat to look at, while fun and flashy, weren't the best delivered stories we could have got. There's some really bad scenes. There's some bad acting. There's some goofy looking visuals because of what George was trying to do. So to juxtapose what Nick was saying with Lord of the Rings, and it may have affected how we perceive Star Wars, I thought it was more, Lord of the Rings gave me an outlet to deal with my disappointment from Star Wars. It gave me, Nick, I mean, I knew of Tolkien. I remember The Hobbit as a kid. I watched like the trippy LSD cartoon, The Hobbit, and I think even the cartoon Lord of the Rings. But I didn't know shit. I remember, Burger King, all the fast food, they're doing the promotion for Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship. I'm like, whatever. It looks geeky. I'm a geek. I'll go check it out. I remember watching Fellowship, and you're telling me that was 2001, right? So 2 years.
2001.
2 years after The Phantom Menace. So I go into Fellowship with no expectations outside. Man, this is long as fuck. Hopefully I can get through it and don't hate it.
Yeah.
I came out of that going, holy shit. How have I missed this story my entire geeky nerd life? How has someone not ever sat me down and said, you need to read these 3 fucking books? You owe it to your inner nerd to read Tolkien's masterpiece. And that's, I do see where you're going with the Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and how they were competing and how they were, one's fantasy, one's sci-fi, and they may have affected how we perceive the other. But for me, Star Wars kind of tanking with the prequels allowed me to redirect my fanboy nature into the Tolkien verse. Yeah. And I went hardcore. I mean, I bought all the books. I got the hardbacks, the nice ones, the Tolkien estate copies. I got the Silmarillion, the Unfinished Tales 1 and 2. I mean, all of his unfinished works. I've read all that shit. I mean, that's how I got through college. And that's why I don't know shit about programming, because I just sit there and read fucking Tolkien books in my college courses. But that's that's kind of how when I look back on it, wasn't so much that Lord of the Rings excellence made the Star Wars prequels conundrum even worse for me. It actually made the pain of my disappointment less, because I had another fake universe to latch onto and love and dive into as if it were real life. While the one that raised me and made me who I am, it kind of like cheated on me. I felt it did me dirty. And we've talked about this before. I kind of moratoriumed the Star Wars movies from 2005, I think almost until they sold it to Disney and I knew that we were going to get new movies. I stuck with the Clone Wars because I was liking that. But the movies themselves, the originals, the prequels, I was like, you know what? I need to take some time off. That prequel thing just didn't go the way I had planned. I'm not going to act like a fucking baby and say that George has ruined my life and I'm canceling him like a lot of you asswipes did with Disney stuff. But I was disappointed, and I was like, you know what? Fuck you, Star Wars. Thank you, Tolkien Wars. Yeah.
And I think that like the closest thing to me when you look at it was you're working in a time where even like pre Phantom Menace, like the special effects that we're seeing in movies before 1999 were still like go back and watch some like late 90s.
They're terrible, bro. I just watched
they were bad.
And I need you to slap me for this, but this happens sometimes on the weekends when I'm getting up and down, not paying attention. But I've watched the movie The Core, which came out in 2003.
Yeah.
Twice now over the past 2 days.
Wow, okay.
And to your point, that movie's in 2003 and the special effects look like fucking puke.
Yeah.
I mean, they go into the earth, Nick, and it looks like a high school kid from the 90s CG project to mimic lava and stuff. I mean, it is embarrassing. Yeah.
So like at that time, like you didn't really have a lot of CG heavy films because it couldn't be done well, and then you get these two trilogies that release at the same time, and they do it in different ways, but in the end, like you have to look at what Peter Jackson did with Lord of the Rings and realize that he did what Lucas should have done. Like he used CG in a way that enhanced the environment around him and didn't rely on it so heavily to do everything. Like the biggest difference for me in those trilogies is in Attack of the Clones and Two Towers. And it's like you can remove the story elements from it completely. Attack of the Clones was essentially a movie that was filmed entirely in front of a green screen. There was no real atmosphere there outside of like maybe when they were in the fields on fucking
I mean, outside of like the floors and shit, most everything was not real.
Yeah, and then you look at a movie like Two Towers where it is a CG heavy movie. I mean, all of the Lord of the Rings trilogy is, but it's done in a way where you can't really tell a lot of the time. Like when you see
and you're saying that now, like even on the big screen, which you just watched, the effects of Jackson's LOTR trilogy still hold up.
Yeah. So these were newly, like, this was like the new remaster.
Because I was going to say, like, I'm kind of jealous you've done this, because I've been, ever since they released the theatrical cuts of LOTR and I think The Hobbit in 4K, and that's within the past 4 months. I think my dumbass even rebought them, even though I have every version of these fucking movies you can get. I've got the DVDs, the Blu-rays, the regulars, the extendeds, the Blu-rays and the extendeds. It's like, who fucking cares? So you think they just probably played you that new 4K cut?
Oh, they did, for sure, because that was said in the beginning of every movie. Stephen Colbert says these are the 4K remasters done by Peter Jackson himself.
Dope. That is dope. So I'm guessing your theater just has like a fucking killer 4K projector and yeah. They it's like Alamo Drafthouse uses all of the Sony 4K. Like, and I've actually heard, like you said, this wasn't a bullshit like a re-res. I mean, Jackson's team actually went through and I've read that you can see noticeably different brightness. Like the coloring is a little more rich, even though the film kind of had a tone to it, like a darker wash. But it does seem like they cleaned it up in the 4K. Yeah.
And like, even with the 4K re-res and everything like that, those movies look incredible. Like when you see Minas Tirith, the city, it looks real from a distance. And you can't say that about a lot of Star Wars stuff in the prequel trilogy. So just the fact
you're trying to tell me when Anakin was surfing on a fucking space cow, that didn't look real?
I know, man. It's hard to believe that, but I don't think it was as good as the orcs and stuff in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, but he wished he could wish it all away, Nick.
He did do that, but it just struck me so hard because, you know, we've been doing this podcast for such a long time, and like I haven't ignored Lord of the Rings necessarily. It's always been a huge part of my fandom and of my just nerd culture love, you know, since I was a kid, since I was a teenager and they released. But it's just like I had a brand new appreciation for it after seeing it in this way. And it just made me kind of draw those comparisons between these two trilogies. And then also it made me think about like, well, because I like before, like I'm going through and I'm watching the Hobbit trilogy again. And just that, like, I've never seen the last one. I had such a bad taste in my mouth from the first one and then Desolation of Smaug that I was like, I don't need to see this again. Like, I don't need to see it. It's just, so like, you can see that Jackson made the same mistake that Lucas did in his prequel trilogy. And I know that there's a lot of stories behind it. And, you know, it wasn't supposed to be him to start with. It was Guillermo at the very end. It was Del Toro was supposed to do it and all this stuff. But he made the same mistake. He took a section of time where there's very little source material for The Hobbit, and he stretched it out into this. The unextended version of the first Hobbit movie is 2 hours and 50 minutes long. That's longer than the first Lord of the Rings movie, and I think it's longer than Two Towers.
Because The Hobbit, he takes him up to basically getting out of the orc cave, right?
Yeah.
Like out of the frying pan into the fire. That chapter, I think, is where that ends up.
And it's like, you can see that he stretched his source material too much. And then he also did a lot to, you know, he brought in a lot of characters that weren't in the books. Like, you know, you see Galadriel and you see a lot of other characters. He added characters that just didn't exist before. So he tried to, instead of making the Hobbit movie, he made The Hobbit a direct lead-in to Lord of the Rings. Yeah. And you can feel that in the movie. Like, and then also, I don't know if it's what you mentioned, like, you know, the original film for Lord of the Rings had a bit of a darker tone to it. But like, I watched The Hobbit and I'm like, dude, the special effects in Lord of the Rings is better than what we're seeing in The Hobbit.
I think some that fucked The Hobbit, Nick, he shot that in the high frame rate. Like, he actually shot at high frame rate. So I'm sure that fucks a lot of stuff up when it's going back to 24 versus 30. I know I saw the high frame rate version in theaters, and it's wonky because we're not used to it. Our eyes because of blinking and refreshing on screens, we're used to seeing images about 24 frames a second. So if that goes up, gamers will know this more than anybody. I mean, these days we're getting upwards. If you have PC or new consoles, we're talking 120.
Yeah, like you can game now on a good PC. Whatever, 250 frames per second, depending on what you're...
The shit just it looks so smooth, but it looks unnatural because we're not used to seeing stuff that smooth.
And I'm pretty sure if you go back, because he's using actors that he had used in The Lord of the Rings and they have to look younger, a lot of the scenes are soft-proofed in a way. And like, I use that term because I know that the toy photographers in our fandom will understand
Look
that.
At this
like
guy.
They soft-proof.
He's a pro. He's a toy photog.
Especially with the scenes with, like, go back and watch the intro to The Hobbit with when you have Ian Holm there playing Bilbo and you have Elijah playing Frodo again. Look at the scenes with Elrond, with Hugo Weaving, anything with Gandalf in it. I mean, Gandalf's not as bad because he can look old. It doesn't matter. But like Cate Blanchett, all of these actors that they're pulling in from Lord of the Rings to play the same character in The Hobbit, it just looks weird. And you can tell that they've soft-proofed their faces to like make them look younger,
Gotcha.
as they're supposed to at that time. And it does kind of have a very weird, off-putting, I don't want to say off-putting, but it has like you said, an unnatural feel to it. And the movie itself is just brighter. It doesn't have that darker tone.
Yeah, I was going to say it's definitely more vibrant than Lord of the Rings in terms of the color grading they went with.
Yeah. And it, like, the way that my brain processed that is that it felt more sterile. Like in Lord of the Rings, things felt old. Like
it sounds like you needed one more dose of drugs to get the experience you were looking for.
Maybe I did. Maybe I need to take a nice, hit of the green mother leaf. I
don't know, man. You're getting me close. I think that one of the main reasons I've held off, it's this whole parenting thing, and having a 5-year-old, you kind of want to be around them when they're young before they hate you. And if you commit to the Tolkien verse, you're talking about days of your life.
Oh yeah, it's literal. I mean, like the only reason that Taylor did the first movie for me. She got it for me as an anniversary gift. She's like, hey, look. I don't know if you knew about this, but they're doing these special 20th anniversary editions of Lord of the Rings. I got you tickets to go see Fellowship. I think it'll be a good thing. So we went together, and then I convinced her. I was like, hey, let's just do all 3 of them. And I realized with Taylor, the only way that I can get her to watch movies that she doesn't want to watch is through experiences like that.
There you go.
So like, she didn't want to watch Star Wars, so I was like, guess what? I found Star Wars in a drive-in. It'll be fun. And then bang, it worked.
You got to trick her. Pretty soon it's going to be like, hey, I got chloroform. You want to go watch this Star Wars movie with me?
The only ones that I've been able to get her to watch of her own volition without having something like special around it was Back to the Future.
All right.
And she just straight up enjoyed
all 3 just hit Prime, by the way, so...
Yeah, and I have the remaster 4K editions of those.
See, I want to go back to those. I don't know if the kid's old enough. Although she watched the core with me, and that's. Dude,
I think that she might be right at a good age.
I just don't know if Back to the Future will engage her. Like the whole time travel thing, trying to explain that. I mean, I'm trying to teach her subtraction now, and she was getting good at addition, but you throw in subtraction, and it's like, E equals MC squared. Go fuck yourself, Dad.
The one that she would definitely get into is 2 because you go to the future and there's so many bright colors and there's big things. And
it's the same thing on LOTR. It's like I kind of get crippled. A lot of times, I mean, this happens, and I bet a lot of you suffer from this as well. We just have too much shit to watch. And so there'll be nights I'll just sit there and my favorite program becomes my Apple TV menu. And I just look at it, and then the screensaver comes on, and then I'm pretty much defeated, and I just look at my phone and go, well, fuck, there's too much to watch. I'll watch nothing.
Yeah.
But it's like, Lord of the Rings, should I start with the theatrical 4K or should I do extended? But the extendeds aren't 4K. You got to watch the best version now. Blah, 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 blah. It's like all that weird OCD Matt shit kicks in. But all right, man, I think we ate up plenty of time on LOTR, but I was definitely jealous of that because as I told you offline, I
go back and do the 4K theatrical because if you haven't watched them in a while, like you'll have a new appreciation.
Yeah, you're
for
right.
them,
You're right.
like.
I just I'm always like bigger's better. I'm one of those freaks. If it's extended, it's got what the director wanted and blah blah blah. But trying to get her to sit through 3+ hours a pop. I mean the Snyder cut.
Like, wait, Daddy's got to change the disc now.
Yeah, I made her do the Snyder. I didn't really make her. I said, "Hey, I'm gonna go watch it. You want to watch it?" She's like, "All right, yeah, you're my dad, okay." And about 2 hours in, she looks at me like, "Hey, Dad, is this ever gonna end?"
No,
I was like, "Well, about 2 more hours, so yeah, it'll end soon." But all right, man. So let's get into this week in Star Wars, and there is plenty to riff on. Some of it's a bunch of bullshit that people are getting clout for that we should be getting clout for, but hey, that's what we do. We like to bitch about other people and not worry about how to make ourselves better. We are typical humans. But first up, and this is kind of getting some heat. I don't want to call this a leak. I don't want to even call it a rumor. There's potential now. The powers that be, the story creators at Lucasfilm, behind the licensing machine, have set up potential for Qui-Gon to have some sort of interaction with Obi-Wan, or Old Ben, as he may be called, in the Obi-Wan Kenobi Disney Plus series. Yes. All right. So, I mean, we know some canon behind this. Through the Clone Wars, we learned that Qui-Gon was the first Jedi, at least modern Jedi, to figure out how to move on and continue living within the Force itself. But because he did not master the technique before Maul stabbed him through the fucking heart, he was not able to fully realize himself in corporeal form. Yes. But in Yoda's exile, which we learn at least the impetus for it, he trains to learn how to become one with the Force because Qui-Gon reached out to him and could talk to him. Yoda couldn't see him, but he could hear Qui-Gon, and Qui-Gon pretty much said, "Hey, buddy, you remember me? I died. You guys didn't fucking like me. I wasn't on the council because I actually had a better vision of what Jedi should be than all you fucking idiots. But hey,
I had my own thoughts.
But hey, I'm here. Guess what? This weirdo that likes the natural side of the Force. I figured out how to stay alive, asshole, and this is how you do it." So Yoda, we assume, on Dagobah was training in this with Qui-Gon. And we also have to assume, knowing that Qui-Gon taught Yoda and Qui-Gon was Kenobi's master, at some point in time, Kenobi and Qui-Gon probably also went through Force Ghost 101, right?
Yeah. And I mean, at the end of ROTS too, Yoda basically tells
you need to train with Qui-Gon.
Yeah, I'm gonna help you with this. Yes. Like, your old master has returned. I will help you.
Exactly. So it's all set up in canon, and it's just like, all right, we forget about it. Obi-Wan turns into a ghost. I mean, he did that back in the fucking 70s. No one questioned it. So here's where things get interesting, and we actually talked about this novel, Nick, many episodes ago. But it's called Skywalker: A Family at War, and it's essentially just a biography of the Skywalkers and how fucked up they are and how they've essentially fucked up the galaxy. But there's an excerpt in it that explicitly states that it takes 10 years for Obi-Wan to make first contact with Qui-Gon Jinn. So if you put the timelines together, just like Nick said, at the end of Revenge of the Sith, Yoda said, "You need to figure this shit out, homie." Well, guess what is set 10 years after the end of Revenge of the Sith?
I think it's the new Kenobi series, right? Is that right? I don't know.
That is correct, Nick. You've got it. You are a leaker. He must have a source. Get him on Reddit. Get this man on Reddit and upvote his ass. So there you go. I mean, I'm not going to read the excerpt for you, but it says that Obi-Wan was not able to commune with Qui-Gon until 10 years after the end of ROTS. So, knowing that the show itself takes place 10 years after, knowing that it's about Kenobi in exile, knowing the pure fandom boner-inducing moment this could provide, do they incorporate this little anecdote from this book into a moment in Kenobi?
I think that this is the biggest no-brainer that Disney could have on their hands here, honestly.
And do they leave? I assume Qui-Gon still has to stay voice only, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's no way that he could have a corporeal
I'm glad
form.
we agree on that, because I really don't. I don't want them to fuck their own canon like Star Wars is known to do. So.
Yeah, I mean, they could just say, "Hey, fuck it, man." Eventually, he figured it out. But I do think that this is an easy win here for them. You know, I think it's also one of our earliest speculations that we had once the Kenobi show was announced. Like, if you go back and listen to some of our shows when there was, you know, speculation and then the official announcement about the Kenobi show, we were like, yeah, man, this could easily set up like a Qui-Gon cameo.
Well, hey,
where he's
look,
talking
there's where we fail ourselves. and I'll say this 10 times more before this show's over, because, oh boy, do we have some just fucking poo flings to talk about. Yeah. But we should just run with that. Exclusive. Qui-Gon will be in Kenobi, exclusive. And then the first lead is, you know, our sources said this and blah, blah. I mean, who gives a shit at this point? Why can't I get over that? I need to just start doing it. It happens every week. Wait until you hear about these 2 we have for you this week. It's fucking mind-numbingly stupid.
Yeah, it's just like, those two, the two that we'll get to are really
and they
fucking
get so much
brain-dead.
heat on the internet, on the Star Wars fan internet. It is insane.
Yeah.
But Nick is right. We've been telling you this. We didn't need a fucking book to come out. Yeah. This is a no-brainer. And do you want it to be a recurring conversation, or is this just something we see briefly, maybe after one of his Vader connections or Vader memories? He's got to be like, "Hey, Master, I need you at this time," something like that. And
I think it's a one and done.
Okay,
I mean, knowing how little, I don't say little content, but knowing the few episodes that we have, we're only gonna have 4 episodes to the best of our knowledge. Like, I don't think that you need it in every episode.
Right.
I think you need that one shot, like that final breakthrough moment.
Exactly.
Like when he finally gets it.
Yeah.
And
it's got to be at a big moment. Like, something big had to have just happened to Obi, and like he's really using his homework and what he's learned, and he finally makes that connection with Qui-Gon, and you hear Liam's voice just kind of echo out through the ether. Yeah.
And I mean, if you think about it, both seasons of The Mandalorian have done a really good job at kind of obscuring any sort of cameos that were in it, or any sort of like big reveals that would have spoiled what was coming later. Like, nobody knew that Luke Skywalker was going to be in Mandalorian season 2. Like, even the leakiest of leakers that wasn't even on their radar.
No one was sniffing that shit.
And you know, I feel like this is one of those moments where you don't need to announce like, oh, look, Liam Neeson is in the cast of fucking Kenobi show, because it's a perfect moment to where it is just a one interaction thing, and it will make fans just lose it. Like you said, it's the moment that we all know that we need to see, but don't want to explicitly say like, well, if this isn't in it, then this show sucks.
Yeah, of course.
Because I don't feel that way.
No, I mean, dude, the only way the Kenobi show could suck, and I would even question this, is if they dressed up Ewan McGregor's asshole to look like his face, and he essentially Ace Ventura's the entire performance. But I could contend even there's some quality programming to be seen.
I agree. So I think that this is, I mean, especially for creators like the people who are in charge of this show, and like, you know, the executive producer, like Dave Filoni, like, you don't think Filoni had this in his head from the moment he's like, oh, we're doing Kenobi? Like, all right. I know something that we can slip
even though
in
he's
there.
not writing or running it, he's probably passing notes off to the writer and Deborah, like, hey, by the way, this will go over well, right? You know, like, to use some wrestling terms.
For sure. You know, almost for sure. And I feel like this moment here is something that's easy to pull off. All you need is literally, like, you don't even need to have Liam on set.
No.
Like, you send Liam.
You fucking send him a microphone and get him on Zoom to do a couple takes. He's Obi-Wan. Like that. You want me to do like surprise, like Obi-Wan?
And then that's it. Bang, you're finished. And it would just give you that little bit extra, that perfect cherry on top of the story of Obi-Wan Kenobi, because largely outside of his very early training, we've seen the whole story of Obi-Wan Kenobi played out on screen in front of us.
From Padawan to death, we've seen pretty much everything.
Yeah, and this is really that last piece that we need to really complete his full arc, is like how he went from the end of Rots to being able to fully realize himself as a Force ghost.
And let's be real, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan together is some of the best shit in the prequels. I mean, it probably is the best shit outside of Darth Maul. I mean, let's be real. Those two together, I still remember, I mean, this just goes to show you how different the internet was back then. I'm pretty sure I went into the Phantom Menace not even knowing that Liam Neeson was in it.
I mean,
the fucking Jedi. I was like, oh, and that guy looks familiar. And then you find out like he's a full-on like Jedi master, and he's this pimp dog, and he's Obi-Wan.
I mean, at that time, like, especially for news around,
bro, at that time we used to have to buy tickets to movies we don't want to watch movie trailers. Like I remember buying Monsters Inc. tickets to see the fucking Phantom Menace trailer, and I'd get up and leave.
The outlet that was doing stuff like this online was like Ain't It Cool News.
Right.
Like you didn't even have like major outlets were
didn't
they were
exist.
doing smattered coverings, but they weren't doing like in-depth coverage of Star Wars releases like what happens now.
We just couldn't get it. I remember like just trying to find the fucking trailer online back in those days was almost impossible. Almost impossible.
Yeah, like 99. Like even you didn't even have high-speed internet at that time. So if you're watching it, you probably had to sit there.
No, dude, here's the deal. I was excited because at that point in time, I was a freshman at Kent State living in the dorms.
So the T1
yeah,
connection.
buddy. Universities back then all had T1 and high-speed LAN. So I was like, fuck yeah. But I remember sitting there at Kent. Phantom Menace, where's the trailer? And you get that like a didgeridoo plays, and you're like, holy shit! And then the Gungans come out, and you're like, whoa! And then you go, and you're like, oh fuck.
Yeah, you're like, uh-oh.
I still saw it 10 times because I was so jazzed.
It's the moment at the end. If you've ever seen Fanboys, that movie where it's basically the group of friends who are trying to invade Skywalker Ranch to see Phantom Menace before it releases. It's got some noticeable people in it, like Kristen Bell's in it, Sam Huntington's in it, a bunch of other, like, what's his name? The guy that's in a lot of the Seth Rogen, Jay Baruchel, he's in it. At the end of the movie, they finally get to see it. Like they break into Skywalker Ranch, they sit down, they're about to watch it, and the movie basically does a soft ending on one of the people saying like, hey, what if it sucks? And it just like you have that moment, and it kind of like perfectly encapsulated the hype around like with the fandom around this movie.
It was insane.
And then the post movie realization of like, I feel like I liked it, but did I like it, or was it just the residual energy left over?
Now I can at this point in time I can genuinely say that I like the Phantom Menace. I really did go see it 10 times. I mean, there's times I was the only person in the theater. And I've done an opus on this. I'm not going to get into it. I've got a video on our YouTube channel, so just look up Star Wars Time Show on YouTube and search like best prequel or Phantom Menace isn't the worst prequel movie, something like that. But I kind of lay down with case. I provide my case with evidence and facts on why TPM is the best prequel movie overall and ROTS is the worst. And it's not just bullshit. They're like I said, it's a very detailed study. Just think what they did to my man Anakin in episode 3 versus a little kid version of Anakin.
I don't know.
It's completely different.
I think that the setup to whiny bitch Anakin was all done in AOTC, and I don't think that you can ever convince me that movie is not the worst Star Wars movie of all time.
Oh no, Clones is, but I think Revenge of the Sith is the most egregious.
Egregious is the better way to put it.
It's nearly offensive to someone like myself that is a fan of Anakin and wanted to see that turn and wanted to see it justified. It's offensive,
and I think like real quick. One piece that I want to go back to real quick when I was talking about Lord of the Rings versus Star Wars, the thing about the prequel trilogy that has almost never been seen in film before was everybody knew what was going to happen in those movies.
Yes.
Everybody knew.
Yes.
But you just didn't know how it was going to get there.
Correct.
You're like, I know all the beats. I know what's going to happen. Now you have to get me there, George. Whereas with Lord of the Rings, the source material is there. It's some of the best source material ever written for that genre. But with Star Wars, every fan goes into episode 1 knowing how episode 3 is going to end. And then you have to make that story work, and you have to tell a believable tale. And that's where it falls apart, is that even like this didn't even exist for the sequel trilogy.
Right.
Like the sequel trilogy was a completely new ground. Like nobody knew what was going to happen.
Which is even more insane to think that they bumblefucked that. I mean, they had a blank canvas and they still couldn't get a cohesive trilogy.
Yeah. And with the prequels, it was almost impossible for George to do what he did, to essentially say like, hey, you guys know how this is going to go. And I just have to tell a
did you
story
notice
for
how
you
I preface my disappointment with the prequels? I say I built up a vision in my head of what I wanted to, like, I can understand that, where a lot of these idiots that get on their keyboards and start spouting off about Kathleen or Disney or they don't like the sequel trilogy, they can't figure that out. And I too am disappointed ultimately in the sequel trilogy. I'm not some Mouse does all the best. No. But most of my frustration is based on the fact, like Nick said with the prequels, I had written Anakin's story and how it should go because I knew how he went from slave to evil guy in a black suit. So in my head, I was like, no, this is what has to happen. This is how it has to. We have to see more signs of him being anger. We have to see more instances of him dipping over to that dark side. And they didn't do that for me. And that's why I did not like the prequels. I really think Anakin's turn was done dirty. It really was not justified. It made no sense. He never showed any signs of skirting with the dark side outside of one time in Attack of the Clones with the same people.
Yeah.
I mean, you could even argue that him chopping off Dooku's head was uncomfortable for him. He didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
He even looked like, are you serious, dude? You're fucked up, Palpatine. You want me to fucking chop his head off?
He literally said after it, he's like, that I shouldn't have done that. Like, I know that I did this wrong.
To do that the right way.
You pushed me to do it.
The way that fight goes the right way, Anakin beats the shit out of him and doesn't even pause and fucking cuts him in half and then goes, when he's done, like, and then he's like, oh shit, what the fuck was that? Have him sitting there looking all concerned, like, I don't want to do that. I want to do it. And he's like, do it. And he's like, okay, I'll do it. It's like the turn. He's literally like, he is coming to arrest Palpatine. Yeah. And Palpatine is essentially killing himself by shooting electricity back into his own face using Mace's lightsaber as a mirror. And then all of a sudden, Anakin's just like, you know what? Fuck this. Who cares? You're dead.
I mean, at that point,
like, come on.
I think at that point, in the movies, like the turn should, like, for the audience, you should already know he's turned. Right. Like when he walks in there, you should know he's walking in, and it's not even a thought.
Yes, he's made up his mind. He's like, you know what? Fuck the Jedi. I just want to save my wife. And I still think, his wife dying. That's another lame, full excuse for him making the turn. But that's where we're at. Anakin Skywalker became Darth Vader because he thought his wife was gonna die.
Yeah.
And Palpatine sold him a line of bull, and he was gullible enough to believe it, and he was good literally up until the last moment. That makes no fucking sense. Now you give me Clone Wars Anakin and plop him into Revenge of the Sith, okay. Oh fucking K, I can see that because there are fucking arcs where Anakin is beating people up. Like literally physically assaulting senators because they like used to date Padme.
Clovis, he just beat Clovis nearly to death.
I mean, tell him that, he does shit on his own, tells the Order to go fuck themselves. I mean, basically Kenobi knows he can't handle him. He's a show off. He's cocky. You don't really get any of that shit.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's one of the most unique storytelling experiences in movie history because of that fact. Because everybody knew what was going to happen, but you didn't know any of the details. And there's not really a trilogy like that's ever been told again, or even a single movie story, because everything else is based off of previously written material.
No, I mean, George, he took on a huge bullseye when he decided to make the prequels. He did. Mm-hmm. And you know what? Hey, there are some fans like I think the Star Wars theories of the world, the Sir Dorks, the kids that were born in the late 80s or born in the 90s. Prequels are life, just like the OT is to myself and Nick and a lot of the fans of the Star Wars Time show. So I've kind of gotten over, this is the first time Nick and I have ranted on the prequels, and it seems like a year or more. Yeah. And just a lot of my vitriol has been sucked out of me thanks to the Clone Wars, and just, I'm tired of being that screaming asshole, because I saw myself in some of the sequel bozos, just like, you know what, if they like it and they want to be stupid, fine. It's not up to me to sit there and shit on them. And just to address James here in the chat, so I wouldn't do something to save your family. Like, I understand that the Padme thing could have played a role in Anakin's decision making, but he literally is going from, I know Palpatine's a piece of shit, he's been lying to us, I need to get the Jedi, to, yeah, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna kill the Jedi Master and be bad.
Between the scene where he's in the hallway with Palpatine and says, I'm gonna go get the council to go arrest you because I know you're a Sith Lord, and when he comes back and kills Mace, it's not like Anakin gets new information that's like, now I need to go. Like, nothing has changed between when he was in the hallway with Palpatine and left, and then when he came back. Like, he already got fed the line that I can help you save the one you love and all this other stuff.
And he says,
like, I think he knew all of it.
I think Palpatine says it one more time as he's getting fried. Yeah. He's like, oh.
Yeah, like, he knew it already. Like, he knew, and that's why he tells Mace, he's like, well, you can't kill him because I need him. Like, he already knew at that moment that, like, that he had all the information that he needed to make his decision in the hallway, and there was no reason for him to change his mind.
It's a weird scene. Moment. Like the whole transition just does not play out correctly. Yeah, the Padme angle, yes, it's fine. I probably would do anything to save my. I get that point, but I wouldn't want that decision to be portrayed the way Anakin's was portrayed in Revenge of the Sith, because I just thought it was poor, and it did not honor the steep fall that man took by making that decision. It was just too flippant. It was too casual. It was like a, do you want tacos or chicken today? And he's like, oh, I'll take tacos. And now he's Darth Vader. I don't know. It didn't feel earned. And that's my take on that. So let's move on from our prequel story here, Nick.
Let's move on to
a quasi-prequel.
Yeah, semi-prequel, still in the prequel-ish era.
And it's not even really a story. It's Ewan McGregor with his Kenobi beard. So we just wanted to say that and make sure everyone in our fandom have seen this picture. But it's no secret, Kenobi is filming now. We saw the set leak last week. They're going practical, which was impressive. So it makes sense that you're going to see people like Ewan McGregor in LA hanging out at bike shops, sporting the Kenobi beard. And
we just want you to know that he has a real beard. It's not going to be like a CG situation like Superman in Justice League.
So I will comment on his looks. I mean, he's a beautiful man. I don't want to say anything derogatory about Ewan, but I do think having the 10 plus years off of the prequel Kenobi is actually going to serve Kenobi, the series, quite well. Because, I mean, you can see Ewan has aged a bit. He's got a few more of those wrinkles are in there. He looks a little more ragged. I still don't know how they're going to convince me that that's Sir Alec Guinness 10 years younger than we saw in the New Hope. But
like, you basically have to look at Ewan here and then realize that 9 years after this, he looks like he's on death's door.
Yeah, he looks like he's dead. And that's a shame, but hey, that's continuity issues.
Maybe they CG in some more gray,
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean,
hit him with the touch of gray.
Yeah, I could see maybe painting in some charcoal colors into the beard and hair, but it's still a pretty hard ask to go from this man and then 10 years later he's Sir Alec Guinness in the late 70s. It's just like, I don't know. But hey,
it's a big
it's science fiction after all. It's not real, so no big deal. But I mean, I had to post it. He just looks like him. I mean, he is Mr. Hello There. He truly is. I know Alec brought the character to life,
originated the line,
but Ewan really has become Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, and it's also, it has a lot to do with like the difference in the amount of media that was done for like each person in the character, and also the fact that Alec Guinness didn't really like Star Wars.
It was not like something I think he was too keen on. I forgot who tricked him into actually taking the role. But most stories you hear, like he was still a consummate professional, but he did think it was just kind of, you know, techno babble and bullshit, like beneath his thespian skills.
Yeah. So,
but hey,
cool image though.
Sir Alec,
he's getting I guess he's like getting his hog worked on.
Yeah,
right?
you know Ewan. I mean, if he's at a motorcycle shop, it's probably to either ooh and ah or ride. If he didn't bring his bike over with him to shoot, or to talk shop. Because I mean, I've never watched any of those shows. I apparently they're pretty good. But doesn't he do like essentially documentaries where they just ride bikes for thousands of miles?
Show,
yeah,
where like him and his friend will like ride their motorcycles up certain. Like I think one of them they did was like they were going up the west coast of the United States. I think in the most recent one, or it was like and they've done one in like.
They've gone like all across Europe.
Too,
yeah,
I think
they do. I mean, it's like hardcore motorcycling. It's not just Sturgis bullshit where you drink and get fucked up and look at trashy women. I mean, these guys are doing like endurance rides.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I appreciate motorcycles. I've never owned one, but you couldn't fucking pay me to ride one of those things cross country through crazy weather and whatnot. Like, no. I got put off motorcycles when one of my neighbors, like, literally, he was only going 20 miles an hour. He fell off a motorcycle and he just got torn to shreds. Yeah. And I was like, all right. Yeah, I mean, dude, you have like a fucking rocket launcher in between your legs. Yeah. I mean,
like he broke his wrist. Like you could see all the scrapes and stuff on his arm. He was wearing leathers too. Like he was wearing the appropriate garb, but it's just like, if you slide the wrong way, or if the bike falls on you,
it weighs a little bit.
You're just fucked.
Yeah, it weighs a little bit. Those bikes, you know, they still weigh a couple thousand pounds, I'd imagine, or at least 1,000. So, there he is in his long way round, long way down are the shows. Thank you, Tones.
There we go. Yes.
He will only here. This is coming from. Look at Hideous is in here early today. He must have shut down the restaurant or something. He will only be 2 years younger than Alec Guinness was in A New Hope in 9 years. Oh, well, I mean, in 9 years.
In 9 years.
The fuck are you talking about, Hideous? Go back to flipping some pancakes, you motherfucker.
No, so Alec Guinness.
Yeah, he'll be 2 years younger in 9 years. It's like, what sort of logic is that? That's that Aussie logic. But he is right. If you read Hidious's comment up there, when Nick was talking about going to the theaters, he rented out a whole theater to watch the Snyder Cut, but they didn't really have to worry because Australia hasn't had COVID for months. So
for a long time.
Look at you.
Alec Guinness was born in 1914, so in 1977 he was 63 years old. 63. And then what is Ewan?
Ewan's got to be
right now,
in his 50s, right? He's got to be. If I'm 40,
is exactly 50. Okay. So in 9 years he'd be 59. So he would be 4 years younger than Alec.
Hideous, your logic is off, bro.
Now he could have meant like when it was filming. If it was filming, and I mean, like we know that it released in 77. But if they were filming, in 75,
like he's like, if 2 + 2 = 5, then Ewan McGregor is Alec Guinness. All right, but hey, we love him. We love the beard, and hopefully we'll get some set leak pics coming up with him. In the garb. You never know. Will he be wearing the more pointier, darker brown robe, or will he still have his light brown robes from the Clone Wars? No one knows. Will we see his clone armor in his hovel as an Easter egg? Tune in to the Star Wars Time show for its Easter egg breakdowns once Kenobi hits the airwaves in probably 2022.
Yeah.
Okay. So sticking with real life stuff, I thought this one was interesting. It didn't really seem to get a lot of play, so I don't know if people just don't give a fuck. But knowing how Star Wars fans are, we're typically OCD bunch. We like to know everything we can possibly know about all things Star Wars. So I wanted to get this out there, but at this point in time, and you can take this to the bank and credit the Star Wars Time show, Bad Batch Season 1 is at least 14 episodes long, which is news considering the episode counts of Mando, of other Disney Plus projects, of Clone Wars final season, which was at 12. So we know the Bad Batch S1 is going to be at least 14. And we know this because Kevin Kiner was interviewed by the Full Sith podcast, because people actually listen to that podcast, so they get big guests that show up. And they talk to him, and he is the composer of basically the Star Wars animated universe. So Clone Wars, blah, blah, blah. So it makes sense that he's scoring Bad Batch. And he revealed on this podcast during the interview that he had just finished scoring episode 14. Mm-hmm. So like I said, is that the final count? Who knows? I think it gives us a very strong indication that Bad Batch is going to potentially be a standard length season. 20 to 20. Yeah, so I mean, because I believe the first 2-3 seasons of Clone Wars, before I think you had writer strikes and whatnot, you were getting 20 or 22 episodes. So that could be the case for Bad Batch season 1, which to me implies that they may keep this thing going. It may become a full-on series with additional seasons and whatnot. Which, hey, the more the fucking merrier. I'm all for Star Wars content, but I don't know.
There's a lot of ground to cover with Bad Batch. I mean, you have essentially up until the time where Rebels starts for open content. So you could legitimately run this all the way up until, you know, what is it?
Well,
Rebels happens.
It's actually, Nick, Fallen Order would be the first canon you would butt up against, because Fallen Order takes place, I believe, very, very soon after, maybe 5 years
after Rods.
But yeah, it would be Fallen Order. You would have to have some canon consideration.
Yeah, you could. I mean, but you could easily do, if they wanted to, like a run-in with,
of course,
or even just a mention of Cal Kestis, or like this Jedi kid.
This franchise could be a vehicle to fill in a lot of the gaps that have either been created with the new shows, the old shows. But yeah, I mean, this is a ripe period for storytelling, fresh storytelling, that is, because we really don't have much. I mean, in the movies we had Solo, which I believe is set right around the Kenobi timeline, maybe a little earlier, a little later. And that's about it. So, I mean, Rogue One, we know, butted right up to A New Hope, so that time had been covered, plus Rebels covered the period before that. So Bad Batch, as Nick said, definitely has a wide berth, if you will, to run. So, I mean, I'm slightly disappointed in this, because this just means I'm going to have to make shitty videos for many more weeks than I was planning to. But as a Star Wars fan and as someone that has a pretty good feeling that Bad Batch is going to be excellent, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
And by the way, did everyone else notice people jumping off my speculation on the trailer with this being a female clone, an unaltered clone like Boba? I should have gave her the name Omega. I left that out of my breakdown, but it looks like everyone's running with Omega and that it is a female confirmed. So once again,
there we go.
Thank you, and I'm thanking myself, but I want you guys to say it with me. Thank you, Matt, for your awesome insights and speculations, for getting us on the right path to figure out what's going on with this Star Wars show. You're welcome.
Yes.
You're welcome.
There we go. Thank you, Matt.
So Bad Batch Season 1, at least 14 episodes. You heard it here on the Star Wars Time Show, and if it doesn't come through, you heard it from Kessel Run Transmissions.
Right? There you go.
We can do some actual content, some content we made over the past week with our next little topic to discuss, and that is, was this issue 4? Yeah.
This is issue 4.
Yeah, issue 4 of the High Republic comic dropped last week, and boy, oh boy, was it something fucking cool. It's going to be
so you're telling me that the High Republic is worth reading, and it's not stupid because a lightsaber was in a tree.
That's my take. But, you know, people, we've got James is in here. He's worried that Kenobi's going to be too woke or whatever the fuck that means. So, I mean, whatever. No, I actually have found this comic run to be rather excellent, and issue 4 here definitely reaffirmed my belief that at least the comic books, because I haven't gone back to the High Republic books since I got the free audio only version of it. I got too much Stern to listen to, and outside of that, these days, if I have free time, I'm playing fucking Outriders and get myself all adrenaline junkied up, because that game is a challenge and a half. And believe it or not, even this guy that likes playing on the difficulty of dumb sometimes, I do love myself a good video game challenge, and Outriders is giving it to me right now. But anyways, back to High Republic Comics. So, issue 4 picks up right where 3 left off. So we know that Master Skier had been kind of taken over by the Drangir, and he had captured Kiev and Aver, and it was looking kind of dire for them. Yeah. So in 4, it kind of starts with a flashback just to reinforce the bond between Kiev and Skier. You know, it is basically her doing some Padawan training. And I really like this, Nick, because I could see that they were setting up a potential role reversal deeper into this issue, in terms of Kiev was probably going to have to remind her master of a lesson he taught her that he now needs to be reminded of. So it kind of played on that Star Wars Padawan master type of bond.
Now I am the master.
Exactly. Yeah. We've seen it in the films. We've seen it in other properties. So I enjoyed that. Yeah. But ultimately, what I liked the most was we got in just a 2-panel beautiful piece of comic book art form a great recap of the Drangir's history. So now I fully realize what these little shop of horror type of plants are. And here's the deal with these things. Essentially, they've always been cocksuckers that like to go around and eat everything in a system, okay? They're just bad. But because they're bad, guess who they attracted to them in their past?
Probably the bad guys.
The Sith.
So the Sith.
Yes. So at one point in time, Drangir and Sith actually linked up to just feast and dominate the galaxy. Like, they just go in, the Drangir would eat everything, and the Sith, they do their things. But what do we also know about Sith and power and sharing power and all that fun stuff?
They're not great.
They're not good friends. They're not good friends. They don't know how to share their toys. And ultimately, the Drangir realized that, and they started to eat them too. So when that started to happen, the Sith were like, oh shit, we need to do something about these Drangir. So they essentially locked them all up and tuned them and put their progenitor in like in stasis. All right. So they were essentially just all put to sleep. So they would quit fucking eating Sith and fucking shit up before the Sith could fuck it up. And then, lo and behold, all these years later, the wise and righteous Jedi, right? They want to go out and they want to explore the galaxy. They want to increase the boundaries of the known space so they can link up with other civilizations. They were kind of being Starfleet, right? They're being Starfleet. They wanted to go out and meet new races and say, hey, we're nice people. We're not going to fuck you up. Come play with us. Well, lo and behold, these Jedi on their quest to explore awakened the Drangir progenitor. And that is what has brought them back into the galaxy. And that's why they are out and fucking shit up and trying to eat Kiev and all this other shit. Okay. And we also learned by the end of this issue, it seems like the Hutts may have some sort of dealings with the Drangir, or at least a planet where the Drangir are kind of hiding out. So that was kind of interesting too. But where things really get neat. So Skier, you think he's a puppet. They're controlling him. They've even have regrown his arm into tree parts. Yep. So you're like, oh, the Jedi, they have no chance. The Drangir now have a Jedi under their control. He's going to fuck them up. Oh, boy. And it's looking dark. It's looking dark. But then just as Kiev, as I said, uses that role reversal, she's like, Master, but, you got to blah, blah, blah. And Skier reveals his ultimate plan. He goes, well, I had to let them consume me so I could understand their weakness. And he fucking somehow, after a Jedi becomes one with a Drangir, they can almost vice versa the puppetry. Okay. So he now has control of them, and through the Force, he's like breaking them in half and holding them still so the other Jedi get free, and they're just fucking slashing it up going, I know we shouldn't kill because we're Jedi, but sometimes you gotta kill, and they're just slicing and dicing the Drangir. So it was an awesome aha moment that Skier gave us. He was not Breaking Bad. He actually allowed himself to be consumed and to feel the dark side so he could get the upper hand and save his friends.
Yeah. You've seen there's been similar things like that in other franchises where, like, in order to, to defeat the enemy, you have to become the enemy.
Yeah.
It's very I like that.
Yeah,
term.
it's not like a brand new trope in science fiction or even Star Wars, but I didn't see it coming. I really did not see it coming. Maybe I'm stupid and I should have saw that it was telegraphed, but I did think he was pretty well controlled by these beings, and that he was at least going to, maybe seppuku himself, right? Like at the last moment, kind of realize, like, I can't do this. I have enough in me still. I can't take out my former apprentice and my friend Avar, and he just, guts himself. I did not see him basically doing a full-on heel turn reversal, going back to a baby face to save the day. But we do learn after the fact, because after Skier frees everybody, they figure out that the magistrate or whoever they've been talking to on this planet is definitely up to no good, knows what's going on with the Drangir. So they rush in there to shake him up, and Drangir has a little. Let's say he's got a little Anakin Skywalker in him when he's kind of interrogating him, because he's got him pushed up against the ceiling like Vader did in Rogue One to those rebel troopers. He's like, tell us who you want, that type of shit. Like, he's still a little too intense for a Jedi.
Skier, I was gonna say Skier seems like he's a little on the, maybe that's why they put a little bit more restriction on the Jedi Council after this.
Exactly. So, I mean, who knows where Skier goes from here, but I loved how they opened with a flashback with him as apprentice. I loved his kind of turn. And I appreciated the art in this issue is exceptional. Like I said, that it's a 2-page spread, or maybe just a 1-panel spread of the Drangir history, and it's perfect. There's barely any words. You can just be stupid like me and look at the pictures and see how their timeline played out, and you kind of get caught up in 1-page flip on what this evil force was in Star Wars. But there are some other aspects, like it continued the story of the dead hut on the Starlight Beacon. We actually learned that hut was probably placed and staged because we got a little bit of an alien moment in this issue, Nick, in that a Drangir baby or spawn pops out of the gut of this dead hut and starts to fuck up the Jedi on Starlight Beacon. So it seems that the Drangir and possibly the Hutts, because the Hutts show up at the end of this issue to fuck up the Jedi. And dude, you should see, I've never seen the Hutts look this badass.
I was going to say, like, Hudson, like, you've never really seen Hutts in action before. Like,
it's crazy.
Actually, in battle.
Like, if I wasn't scared of playing video while the stream was going, I would fast forward to the end panel, because you've got the main Hutt, bro, decked out in like samurai armor. All right. Okay. He's floating on some sort of, floating skiff, because obviously he can't just march out with his sluggy self. But then behind him, you've got Gamorrean guards riding on top of armored Rancors. I mean, it is fucking wild looking. They look like, the Hutts look like they came straight out of a Morton Joe's Conclave in Mad Max Fury Road. Like they are, I mean, they look like they are ready for the wasteland.
Like, you would think too, like, we never really questioned like how Hutts came into power. Like, did they actually have to battle, or were they just good negotiators?
Right. Well, apparently they do fight, because and the Hutt, like, I called him a Hutt general in the video, and I do that because he's leading the way. Like, you would think a Hutt like Jabba, they're kind of shady. They're like mob bosses. They kind of sit back and let their minions do all the hard work. No, this dude was right up front, being flanked by Rancor and Gamorrean guards riding the Rancor's armor, crazy spears. It was just a wild look for a Hutt. So, like I said, this issue, I don't know if it was the art, I don't know if it was Skier's turn or what, but it was enjoyable, but it was just fun to look at. I mean, there's just some really cool imagery in here for Star Wars fans. So I continue to be a big fan of the High Republic comic series. I can't comment on the High Republic novels. Too many words, too many page flips. But the comic run is going well, and it does seem now that the Hutts and potentially the Drangir are doing something shady to potentially push back at the Starlight Beacon, and the Jedi trying to push into the Outer Rim, which makes sense, right? Because they used to kind of run that place, and now they're having to make deals that they can't fuck with the Outer Rim because the Jedi and really all of Coruscant is trying to expand the footprint of the inner worlds.
Yeah, expand these hyperspace lanes, make them more accessible for people that are trying to get there from the core worlds and stuff like that. So, I mean, I'm glad that the High Republic comic is still chugging along strong, because the next thing we have to talk about is the new wave of High Republic content that's coming out, and that is, inclusive of the next arcs within the standard High Republic comic threads. And then also the next adult novel that will be released. So
it's like it's the sequel to whatever this one was called. Light of the Jedi was your main book. It's the one that both Nick and I have still not finished because we suck as Star Wars fans. But
yeah, we are just
and
real
these what Nick's talking about now. These are going to become the sequel, and then we'll have a final film. But the High Republic, in terms of the delivery, is broken out into 3 phases. And it seems, Nick, I didn't really read this one through, but it seems that phase 1 is nearing its end in terms of the bigger novels, the junior novels, so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. And now phase 2 is on the horizon.
So this next batch that we're getting is considered wave 2 of phase 1. So we're still in the phase 1.
Okay, I'm glad you read it then, because I just dropped some misinformation on you motherfuckers like I'm Fox News.
But yeah, so we're still in the Light of the Jedi phase 1, but our second wave of content is coming out, and that is going to be, kind of, you could say it's headlined by the new novel, the Cavan Scott authored novel entitled The Rising Storm, which, like Matt said, is the direct follow-up to the Light of the Jedi novel. But in terms of content that has been outlined for Wave 2, it's expansive. You have the release on June 2nd of the High Republic number 6 comic series. You have a Star Wars Insider number 203 that will include information.
Hey, you know what? Sorry to cut you off here, Nick. They need to stop releasing the fucking comic book covers.
Oh, because it
look,
spoils
what did
shit.
I just explain to you? And at the end of issue 4, what did I just say? The Hutts show up with a bunch of armored Rancors. And now what are we seeing right here? Well, not that come on, I'm not stupid. I know the good guys were probably going to win, but right here, they're showing us a comic book cover 2 issues away that shows Avar Kriss on the back of a Rancor. So, I wonder what happens over issue 5.
Way to
Fuckers.
go. Way to spoil your own stories. But yeah, so the wave is expansive. There's going to be Justina Ireland has a story that's going to be in Star Wars Insider, an all new High Republic story that is exclusive to Star Wars Insider. You have more, kind of young adult novels and children's novels coming out. There will be an all ages comic series. The all ages High Republic Adventures comic series is going to continue. And then you have the young adult and the children's novels, which will be entitled Race to Crash Point Tower for children, and then Out of the Shadows, which is the young adult novel that will be releasing as well. And this is all going to be June, July releases for the High Republic content. And then on August 31st, there is an audio-only novel. Cavan Scott, the person who is writing the second book, The Rising Storm, has one entitled Tempest Runner that will be audio only, releasing on August 31st, 2021.
You know what, Nick? I'm looking at the cover of The Rising Storm.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know this or not, but at some point, do we learn that the Nihil have some sort of powers and shit? Because if we don't, and you're trying to tell me that these people can go toe-to-toe with Force users at their peak. I might have some problems with that.
Yeah, so from what I remember, I mean, and again, I haven't finished.
Because look at this cover. It's a standoff with 3 people with laser swords, and then it looks like some homeless people you'd find in the streets of Mos Eisley.
The best, as far as I know, I think that they do have some sort of connection to the Force, but it's not like they're not like Sith, and I think it's even to a lesser degree than even like the Knights of Ren, where they had like a dark side affinity. It's like they have tapped into the Force in a certain way, but not necessarily like have a honed sensibility towards
I mean,
it.
I can suspend disbelief with Mandalorians just because of their warrior culture, and they've literally built their armor and weapon sets to counter Jedis. Like, I can sort of buy into a non-Force Mandalorian being able to take out a Force user. But if we're just talking about some schmoes in the galaxy, some Rough Riders, some Mad Maxers, because that's what the Nihil looks like. I mean, they look like the Mad Max crew, what do they call them? The boys the Silver Boy? I forget the name.
All I remember was that they inhaled silver spray.
They're like me. They love the smell of shit. And my daughter again just tipped me off to I'm going to be in for some shit when she gets older. But we were in the shed filling up the riding motor with gas, and she's like, "Ooh, I like the smell." I'm like, "No, you're going to be a fuck up like your dad. Damn it." Damn it. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I should just read the damn books, but it just seems odd that this group of, it looks like a group of nudniks is able to hold the galaxy hostage when you have literally the Jedi Order at its peak in operation. But oh well.
I mean, like I said, I haven't done too much reading on like the depths of the Knights of Ren's power, but it is, I think it extends slightly beyond just like, you know, like they're just dudes in fucking armor and stuff. So, so yeah, I mean, that's really the end of the story on the High Republic content. There's a ton coming, and like I said at the end of this article, just remember that we already have live action High Republic content that is confirmed and that will be happening coming to Disney Plus, the Acolyte TV series, which means it is highly likely that Disney is looking to expand this just beyond. They're not going to do, you know, High Republic, a ton of High Republic written content and then one show. It's highly likely that we get other either live action animated content for the High Republic. So, you know, first impressions be what they may for the people out there who didn't really give it a chance. But I highly recommend that people, you know, either pick up a comic book, pick up one of these novels, even read one of the short stories that's in Star Wars Insider, because you know, this era is something that they are looking to develop.
It's not going away. It's not going away. Yeah. I mean, let's be realists here. And I'm not a Disney hater. I mean, they did kind of save Star Wars and resurrect content at least. But it's not going anywhere. I mean, it's just like Galaxy's Edge is completely dedicated to Disney properties, not Star Wars as a whole. So just get used to this. And it's not like I do think the main books, like the Light of the Jedi, the Rising Storm, I would assume they are pretty good if you give them a chance. I just have a hard time committing to a book. That's my problem. That's why but I've latched on to the comic book because, as Nick said, I mean, he is right. He is very astute. You're going to want to be somewhat in the know just in case one day something comes out High Republic related that you actually dig. I understand you're not going to love everything, but just like some people last year watching The Mandalorian, you see an orange lady show up and Star Wars fans are going nuts and they're going, huh? I don't ever want to be that person going, ha, with Star Wars. I mean, I know it's odd. It's not real life, but I hold myself in high regard for knowing a lot of dumb shit that means nothing and can get me nowhere in life, but it still makes me feel important when people ask me about the dumb shit I know, and I can actually tell them about it.
Yeah, when somebody says like, "Oh, who's that?" You'd be like, "That's Bo-Katan. Right. She was in here and here." And
you'd be like, "Wow, you know a lot of dumb shit. How would that ever get for you in life?"
You know a lot of pointless information.
And I'll be like, "Nothing."
And look, the Acolyte TV series, get ready. It's going to be a banger. There's nothing that Disney Plus has put out that's been bad. Like, do you people realize that yet? Like,
oh my God! I mean, let's talk
The Mandalorian.
Let's fuck Star Wars. Let's talk the end of Falcon Winter Soldier. Jesus Christ! Like, come on! That ending of this past episode, this past week, like, wow!
Yeah, like Taylor and I were sitting there watching. We're like, holy shit! Like, he just straight up murdered.
Yeah, like, I mean, we're talking like The Walking Dead or American History X curb stomp type of kills. I mean, it was. I looked at my wife and I was like, maybe Charlie shouldn't be watching the MCU because that's probably the most fucked up thing she's ever seen. And I've let her watch PG-13 here or there. She might have caught like some footage of an R movie if we're watching it. She's on an iPad. But that ending to Falcon Winter Soldier episode 4, woohoo!
Yeah. And like even non-Star Wars or Marvel content on Disney Plus is good. Like Taylor has always been a big fan of the High School Musical movies. So one of the first piece of content to release on Disney Plus was this show called High School Musical, the series. And we watched that, and having no attachment to High School Musical at all, I was like, man, this is really fucking well made. Like I drew enjoyment out of it knowing literally nothing about High School Musical, and it was the reverse of how things usually are. Usually, if we're watching something, I have to tell Taylor, or Taylor will ask me like, well, who's that? Or like, what's the deal here? And on this one, it was reversed. She was telling me like, oh yeah, that he's playing the guy that Zac Efron played in the movies or something like that. So it was very good.
They replaced Zac? No,
well, it's like they didn't replace them. It's like a thing where the kids are doing a play of the movie. So like the kids at the school are doing a play based on High School Musical, the movie. And they're like,
I'll tell you what, like, Zac Efron figured out how to work out, or like The Rock gave him some steroids on that what movie did they do? Baywatch movie. Because that dude got fucking swole.
He was jacked up.
Swole. Like, and I mean, I don't give a shit if you did steroids or not. If you can get your body to look like that, you've put some fucking work into it.
Yeah, I don't think I saw an interview with him and he was like, I never want to be that in shape again.
It's not fun. Like, and I'm not even that in shape. I'm like moderately in shape, and I have to spend 7 days a week to just maintain this somewhat pudgy body.
Yeah, that kind of shit is difficult.
Respect, Zach. And then, like, respect.
Even the new Mighty Ducks series is very interesting.
No, you're not. You are not wrong. I mean, Disney, they're not fucking around with their content for Disney Plus. They realize that they've tricked so many people into subscribing because of Star Wars stuff and The Mandalorian that they're like, hey, we can't fuck this up. We've essentially caught up to Netflix in 2 years. Like, do you people understand all the revenue we could have? Keep making the shows.
100 million subscribers already. You know they're going to be pumping
halfway.
out content.
I mean, they're just about halfway to Netflix. And I mean, they haven't even finished 2 full years, right? 2 full years will be this fall.
They have not.
That's
finished
fucking
2 full
crazy.
Years. Yeah, I mean, just look at what's coming. You have Loki. You have, the next season of
Book of Boba,
The Mandalorian. You got Boba. You got Rangers.
Ahsoka.
You got fucking Ahsoka.
Visions, droids, Acolyte.
Like, just so much content coming to it. So just
Bad Batch. Yeah, it's fantastic. It's fantastic.
You know that this shit's going to be top notch. So stay up. At least try some High Republic content, whether it be what we have recommended via the comics or the novels or not. Just
I'm going to stay engaged through the picture books.
What's happening there?
I will stay engaged through the picture books.
Yeah. All right. The next
Here we go.
Now we're getting out of real life and we're getting into the realm of the leakers. We have descended into the darkness, so to speak. And now it is pure, like Matt said in the beginning of the show, pure poo-flinging from here. And most of it is just like, some of it is the most obvious shit that you could ever say.
I mean,
some of
this one right here, Nick, I know for a fact, maybe when we were putting season 2 of The Mandalorian to bed, we said this is going to happen. But because we didn't use the words exclusive or leak, it went nowhere. So this is what we're getting from the leakers out there, mind you. But apparently, and this one comes from the Jordan Mazon leaking crowd. But he's saying, and everyone, if you're listening just on a podcast platform, you can't see the screen. I know you don't know what's coming, so you might want to pull your fucking car over or sit down and take a deep breath, because this is going to knock your socks off. Are you ready?
Yeah. Okay.
So this leaker is saying, I don't even know if I can get through it. I'm so anxious to even say it. So what this leaker is saying, get ready, people. This leaker said that we should prepare for the potential to see Din Djarin in the Book of Boba Fett. Boom!
It like the first time that I read this, like I had to double take because my brain started to kind of like scramble. I was like, how could this person possibly know that this was going to happen? How could you even make the assumption that this was going to happen?
Unbelievable.
It's just
the foresight that these individuals have is Force-like, Nick. It is just Jedi-like what they can predict or what they just know from the future.
I mean, in all seriousness, though, like Matt said, the one of the first things, like, I don't know why this happens to us so often, but again, just like the Qui-Gon thing from Kenobi, one of the first things that we said about Book of Boba is that, oh yeah, like you're going to see Din, you're going to see Fennec, you're going to see a lot of the characters that you see in The Mandalorian, but you're also going to be
I got it right here. We have fucking proof. Tuesday, January 5th. It's in our fuck it. I'll put it up on the screen just so people see. I'm just making sure we didn't have any shit talk on fans in the conversation. Because we do that in our Slack. We pick on all of you.
Just constantly.
But here we go. So this is our. I'll get it up here on the screen in a second. This is our special topics channel in our Slack. So Nick and I will use this if we think we're gonna have a low week. We'll just kind of throw some topics in there. But look at that right there. Look at that right there from yours truly, Tuesday, January 5th, 9:38 a.m. Book of Boba will have a Din cameo and resolve his Sarlacc escape. Boom!
I mean, it's the most obvious thing ever. Like, if you go back and listen
3
to
months before Jordan got inside information right there, Book of Boba will have a Din cameo.
Yeah.
Like, what are we talking about?
It's one of those things where, like, if you can read the tea leaves on this show and you realize the direction that they're going, like, this is going to be a show.
If you have eyes and a fucking brain.
A brain. Yeah. Like, you know that this show is going to play in multiple timelines. The show is going to play in current Mando timeline where you see the moments right after Boba Fett sits on the throne, on Jabba's throne in the palace, and then it will also play in the timeline of the past, which is why you have the casting of Jordan Bolger and all these other characters that were cast for the younger timeline of Boba Fett. And one of the first things that we said, or that I said and speculated about on the show, is that this is going to play like a retelling of his past. You know, whether
for a bit. I mean, they at least have to flesh out his escape. If from there on, if they want to tell new Boba, fantastic. I love Neo Boba. I don't need much bozo in my life. But it's just like, how could Din not fucking show up in this show? Boba's his fucking Uber to start with. Like Din doesn't even have a vehicle. He doesn't have a vessel.
Dude, do you want to see how stupid? Did you read the last line of this Reddit thread that you like put in the update?
Oh yeah, you haven't seen the update, Nick. I just added this in. Like I didn't want to give you a heart attack, so I handled the update myself. But are the fans ready? Because there's more to this. There's more to this leak outside of Din Djarin showing up in the Book of Boba. Get ready. Jordan has also said that Cobb Vanth, Grief Karga, and Miggs Mayfeld will be in the Book of Boba too.
But the here's the last sentence in this Reddit thread. And this shows you how stupid the people are who function in the Star Wars leaks community.
And how I'm even dumber than they are because I am jealous of these people. I will admit it. The reason we even talk about this stupid shit is so I can rant and rave about how they are more popular than Nick and I.
This is the last line of the Reddit post by a person on Reddit named Makes You Feel Deja Vu. It says, remember, Jordan hasn't reported any of this yet for a reason, but these are some of the names he's heard. This is the last line. I want you to remember this, and remember that people on Star Wars leaks are the ones who fuel the fan base behind.
Nick is making a great point right here. Lay it on him, Nick.
Jordan Mason. Plus, Mayfeld will obviously not show up because he died in that refinery explosion.
And these are the people I want to like me. How fucked up am I? This person doesn't even know what fucking show they're watching. They don't even know that Mayfeld's still alive.
Yeah, like, I don't know if I missed something. Like, I don't know if
Mayfeld blew up the fucking refinery.
Yeah, like, they literally let him go. Like, I don't know if like, maybe, like, there's some sarcasm that I missed in here.
No, there isn't. I didn't even spot this, so I'm glad you brought it to my attention because it makes me feel even worse about myself. These are the type of fans I crave, because these are the type of fans that are so loyal to Kessel Run's transmissions and Jordan Mazon that they go in there and stump for these people and get them permanently in the top above the fold section on Reddit.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know, because like Matt and I have said multiple times on the show, like, we're not allowed to post on that subreddit for some reason. Whenever we post anything, even if it's like legitimate leaks that we were given from like a literal person who works in the industry, they won't let us, they just insta delete our posts. So it's not even worth us going on there to comment or anything like that. So I don't know if, like, this person, like, this Makes You Feel Deja Vu person is known for, like, posting dumb sarcastic things on the subreddit or not, but, like, to have that line in there and have it not be an immediate piece of sarcasm is just
I guess Connor is ruining our fun in the chat here, and he's saying that I think they were making a joke about how Kara said he died so that he could leave for being a hero.
Okay, maybe they are.
But you know what? What, Connor? Don't fuck with our fun. All right, we're having a good time making fun of idiots, so let us make fun of idiots.
Yeah, no, but so yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was, but, like,
Tones,
me just reading that.
Tones is right. Hold on, because at first I wanted to address this from Tones, but I missed it because we just kept going with these dopes. But when we were getting into pooflinging, Tones is like, "Oh, the Zero's shit slinger," and I'm like, "No, Mike Zero is on a whole different planet than these idiots." Mike Zero is the one that just starts shit to start shit because he knows it's clickbait. As you're saying, he has posted videos of Cara Dune is coming back. Gina Carano has been rehired. Kathleen Kennedy is getting fired. I guarantee it. Click, watch now. So there is a difference between KRTs and the Jordans and the other people we shit on because they have more clout than we do. Zero's a fucking scumbag. Like, he just puts hateful shit out because he knows in this day and age, people love to hate and they will click. It's a very specific audience he goes for. And this audience I would like to have because they're fucking dumb and they'll click on anything and believe anything, but they're also the type of people that have ruined this country and the world overall. So I guess I'm okay that they're not our followers.
Yeah,
but these people, I just saw another guy's like, this is Justin, had like a huge video blow up because he put in the title, Jon Favreau rehiring Gina Carano. He's taken over Star Wars, and people click on the shit. They watch, they listen, and they believe it. Yeah, just like all these fucking idiots that believed all the dumb shit that these politicians have been telling them. Like, the virus isn't real and vaccines are bad. Like, people believe this shit. They 100% believe it. They're in the comments like, oh man, I'm so glad Gina's coming back. I can't wait. Oh, I bet she won't come back because Disney did her wrong. It's like, what are you fucking people talking about? All because some idiot on YouTube said, oh, I've heard this, I've seen this. You all have seen it too, so it's got to be true. Like, it's that type of think. And that's what's happening in the politics. That's what happened in Star Wars when something just can't, it's not a fact. They just said, well, I've seen it. Well, yeah, you probably saw it on fucking, what are some of the dumb sites that make it up on Reddit? Kessel Run Transmission, Star Wars Time Show, or like that Latino Star Wars, like sites that make no sense. They have no street cred. Yet these are who these YouTubers base their facts on about shit is not going to happen. Yeah. You know Kathleen Kennedy's not getting fired. You know Gina Carano's not coming back. But these idiots click on it, they love it, they eat it up, and they believe it. They live in a fucking fake world.
It's hard to keep that level of cognitive dissonance about yourself.
It's crazy, man. Like it's frightening. It is frightening because it's so pervasive in all aspects of society now. It's not just science fiction nerds trolling each other. We have fucking policymakers that are insane.
Yeah.
QAnon.
Very true. Oh man, what a time to live in.
Like, people,
just
please.
Our country and then the world in general. What a time to be on the internet.
I ask all humans listening to the show, don't be a fucking lemming. They always accuse people like me of being lemming. No. Vet shit. Read stuff. Search. Find the fucking answers. Don't just take someone's Facebook post or YouTube video title as gospel. Why? You know why people do it? Because they want to believe in that false reality. It's not real. All right? It's not fucking real.
Yeah. All right. Continuing on the poo-flinging train, we're going down to another supposed online
dude,
leak.
This one, I mean, Devin thinks I'm passionate about this one. Wait till we get to this story. This one here, go ahead, you kick it off and let me catch my breath a bit because I've got some more dragon's fire to spew at this motherfucker.
So the possible Ahsoka series description leak via a tweet from Corey Van Dyke, which is one of your KRC
It's
faithful.
not even from him, though. Look, the credit.
It's not. I know it's not from him. So he posted the tweet, but the credit goes to Daniel RPK on Patreon.
Here we
which
go.
Which is not a source.
Here we go. Nick.
It says.
No, go ahead. Read the thing, and then I'll go into my diatribe on this one. Go ahead.
Okay, so the Ahsoka series description says, Ahsoka Tano, Rosario Dawson, is on the hunt for the evil Grand Admiral Thrawn in the hope that it will help her locate the missing Ezra Bridger, the young Jedi that disappeared with Thrawn many years ago.
Okay, and they're saying this was written by people at Disney to summarize the Ahsoka series. We've read Disney summaries. When have you ever had adjectives thrown in there like evil Thrawn and the missing Jedi is named? I mean, this reads more like an opening crawl than a synopsis of a Disney Plus series.
This reads more like a fan wrote down what he expects the series to be.
Yeah, I mean, but here's what really fucking gets me going on this one. It's not so much that the summary just seems ridiculous as to be coming from Disney. Like they wouldn't drop in Ahsoka's name and then parentheses the actress behind it. They list the cast down at the bottom.
Yeah.
I highly doubt they would lead in with the evil Grand Admiral Thrawn. Or even naming the missing Ezra Bridger. Like, everyone always wants to say, like, you know, you can't just use people from the animated series because the dopes that aren't in the know won't know. Okay, well, use that logic here. So you're telling me a casual fan's going to read this and be like, the missing Ezra Bridger? Be like, who the fuck is Ezra Bridger?
Yeah, who's Ezra Bridger?
Why does Ahsoka care about him? I mean, they would leave it as the young Jedi, if anything.
Yeah. A missing Jedi you need to leave some sort of, like, if you're going to write a description for a series, you need to leave some sort of, like, suspense, something in there to give people like reason to watch if you don't know who the characters are.
This is like a spoiler summary for the last season of Star Wars Rebels is what it is. It's like, what the fuck is this? But
I mean, it's also the most obvious thing that you could ever write about this series. Like if you want to talk about like the low hanging fruit, this is the lowest hanging.
Yeah, no shit. I mean, what have we been saying since day one when we learned about when we learned that Thrawn was spoken in the series? We said, well, Good chance Ahsoka is going to be, the series is going to be about that. No, look at her logo. Good chance World Between Worlds is going to be there. That's going to be the next drop. World Between Worlds exclusive in Ahsoka. Be like, oh yeah, what? Because it's in the fucking logo?
Yeah, it's literally the logo of the show.
Assholes.
Maybe that's what we need to put out.
Fucking
exclusive
assholes.
World Between Worlds will be a major part of the Ahsoka Tano series.
I'm going to try it. It's like, I bitch about it all the time. I lament the fact that we don't do this. And there's a reason. I'm not that type of shitty person. All right? I want to be Star Wars podcast popular more than anything else. It's a sickness at this point. It makes no sense. I dedicate too much of my life to this fucking hobby for no reason, but it's because I want people to know that Nick and I are worth listening to, and we're not just two assholes that drone on like, oh, we love Star Wars. Star Wars, it's the best. Everything's great. Blah, blah, blah. Fuck that shit. It drives me nuts that these are the people that just put out bullshit. And here's the kicker with this one, Nick. This Daniel RPK charged motherfuckers to get this leak.
Yeah, on Patreon. Did you see
charged.
that again? On
people
Patreon.
Paid for this. Star Wars fans paid Daniel RPK to get that leak dropped on them.
And it's just like...
Nick and I have told you this summary 10 times over for fucking free.
Yeah. It's just he works purely off of FOMO, of like really just on like people who can't miss something will pay him to feel like they know something that other people don't know. It's just so sad to see that. I don't know, man. It's just really fucked up. It's just like, come on. And he's also like, he could technically, if he could be sued for this, if any of his information was real, Disney could literally sue him because he is charging people to give information.
Secrets.
Yeah. He's selling internal information that is being leaked to him. It's different if like you leak it and then you just say it, you put it out on the internet, whatever. Like he's literally charging people to give them information that a Disney insider is giving him. If that's the case, that's literal. That's literally like he could be sued.
Yeah,
for it.
It's just like it's not going to happen because this is so bad. This is such a bad take. Like it's bullshit. It's the fact that he has convinced enough people. Because I go down the rabbit hole. Like I read the posts on Reddit because I tend to like to at least remind myself that not all Star Wars fans are Kool-Aid drinkers.
Yeah.
This one in particular, as soon as you start clicking it, Daniel RPK, he's full of shit, and Corey's doing it. You can't trust KRT as far as you can throw him. So there is some of that, but then there's like, oh yeah, these guys are the best, and I'm a subscriber. I pay for it. I think Daniel makes like $4,000 a month, charging for leaks. It's like, what?
That's insane.
What is wrong with people? Like, do you want us to lie? Do you want us to sensationalize? Do you want us to get down in the fucking gutter and say stupid shit that we know people will react to? That's what those people do. There's a whole wing of our politics that is perfected shit talking. That's all they do. All they do is talk shit. They're great at talking shit, and it ramps up people that like shit talkers, but that's all they fucking do. They provide no substance. They do nothing. Just like these people do nothing. They just fucking make shit up. But people love it. Yeah. And you got our two dumbasses here doing 3-4 hour fucking shows, talking till our faces are blue, and we're shitting our pants and pissing our underwear. And no one gives us the fucking time of day except for you excellent people in the live stream and that have been in the know. Like what are we missing? Why don't we break big like these scumbags? Should we find our sources? Should we start clickbaiting it? I don't want to do it. But it seems that's what you have to do to get to the masses these days. I've even seen Star Wars Theory pivot to this nonsense now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's whatever you need to do to get some kind of listenership.
I guess so.
I don't know.
We'll always suck, and I guess I'll be happy with that because I at least know that I'm just psychotic and not a scumbag that knowingly deceives people by saying one thing when I know it's not true. And I don't know, maybe I have PTSD from living in this country and being gaslit by politicians that are so clearly lying. They know they're lying, yet they just push through because that's what the emperor likes. And it fucking makes me sick that it's perverted American politics. It's perverted pop culture fandom. It's like all humans want these days is to be triggered. They just want to be fucking angry at somebody or something because they don't want to deal with their own shitty life.
Yep. Oh, man. Yeah. Shit like that is very frustrating.
Thank you.
In general.
Thank you.
But so yeah, if you needed to hear again from somebody and you want to pay for it, you can always go subscribe to Daniel RPK on Patreon, or you can just use your brain and think
please.
of things like this on your own, which is literally the lowest.
If you ever find yourself wanting to donate to a Star Wars leaker, punch your nether regions and give the money to charity. All right.
Yeah,
thank you.
There you go. So thank you for that leak, I guess.
And if that actually is the
RPK.
summary, I'll be more than happy to come up here and say I was an idiot and I'm stupid. I'll chew on my finger till it bleeds, whatever you want. But there's no way that's the fucking synopsis. No fucking way.
We'll see. Got multiple months before we even get close to a possible synopsis for the show. All right. So the next up is a set image from the good old Andor set. We've been seeing that quite a lot.
Here's another one,
honestly,
Nick. Like your point to how dumb some of the Reddit Star Wars fans are. Yeah. Where this post came from, dude. Look at the guy replying in the tweet. The Kenobi show.
The Kenobi show.
I mean, come on. I mean, I don't want to make fun of just, casual tweeters out there, but you would think if you're on Twitter and you're replying to a leaked Star Wars shot, you probably like Star Wars a little bit because you're seeing it in your feed to start. On what fucking planet would you be looking at the shot? And for those of you that aren't on the live stream, it's 100%. It's one of the sets that we saw in the concept art where I was like, is this a prison? Is it a mind conditioning center? Because you could see the Krennic style Imperial officers that are there. They're wearing their whites and their black pants. And that's what this shot is. And some idiot replies to it and says, the Kenobi show?
Yeah, it's like, dude, come on.
The Kenobi show?
If you've seen Rogue One, you definitely know where this is going. But yeah, I mean, like Matt said, the image itself, there's not a ton of content to it. It's literally like, it almost seems like a shot that was taken kind of from like a higher floor than what this is on. And you can see a bunch of like crew people working. And then you see off in the distance, you see 4 people that are wearing the ISB Imperial, like the white garb, the white uniforms that Krennic wore.
Yeah, it looks like it even looks like, I mean, I know they're not First Order, but it looks like you got like some dude in black there. It looks like you got a female officer. She may be running the show. Nick, the ginger at the front of the shot.
That's what I was going to say. That
looks like a Jedi robe, doesn't it? A little bit.
It kind of does, and it almost makes me think that we could see potentially more Guardians of the Whills, because that's a very similar. Yes, it's very Jedi for sure, but it could also be something that like a Temple Guardian, like Chirrut could have worn.
Yeah.
But it is hard to tell. He does have like a very Jedi-esque feel to it, though.
Yeah,
like,
it doesn't. I mean, at first I was like, is this just a crew guy? Does he have a hoodie on? But I'm like, nah. I mean, that seems like a robe with a hood.
Uniform. Yeah, definitely uniform looking, or not uniform, like, set dressing outfit looking. Pulled back, like red braids. Very Jedi-esque.
Yeah, that's crazy. Seeing a ginger with, it almost looks like cornrows, right?
Yeah. So that character is the one that actually intrigues me the most. Yeah, it's cool to see the white ISB garb from people that are in, more primary focus. But seeing that potential character down at the bottom does kind of open up speculation. Like, do we get to see, at this time, are there still rogue Jedi? We would assume that there's still some out there. Just knowing that Kanan is still out there at this time period for the
Milk Toast is still alive.
Yeah, is that Cal Kestis? Cal Kestis got red hair.
I'm trying to pull up the concept art from, because I do believe it features this room, at least this set, if you will.
Okay.
Here we go. We use Screen Rant. Fuck it. Dude from Fallen Order. Yes, Klondike, that is the dude.
Could be.
What is this
Could be the
bullshit?
dude from Fallen Order. But yeah, I mean, he's the most interesting figure there because it opens up a lot of possibilities.
Yeah, I just saw that too because I saw this leaking around. I know Tones threw in our Discord, and I was kind of like, meh. Here we go. So if you're on the live stream, I think this should be showing right now. Yeah, this is a concept art, and it says Unknown Imperial Base. And I really have a feeling that leak we just saw is from this facility, and I'm going with this is some sort of conditioning center, reconditioning center, or prison. Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of, given the fact that like the way we're looking at this set is likely like going to be an Imperial focused scene, at least from this part, and then potentially. Maybe this person, this redhead person in the robe is trying to infiltrate it, trying to rescue somebody. Maybe he's another rebel spy, and potentially Andor is captured or something like that. There's a lot of possibilities for what we could be seeing here, but it's definitely not the Kenobi set.
That's just like, man, come on. Sure. It's like I'm trying to get away from a topic where I literally have no faith in humanity anymore. Then we get this.
Yeah,
the Kenobi show. Yeah, all those fucking rivers and gray floors on Tatooine. Yep, definitely Kenobi.
Yeah,
you fucking dope. People are so dopey.
I'm pretty intrigued by it. I mean, not really like the set or the Imperial officers. It's this one guy, like this guy at the bottom.
It's definitely not Cal because it's not Cameron.
No,
but
I think he's older. He looks too old.
If I was Cameron, though, I'd be pissed. If this guy is Force connected, I'd be like, yo, I am the only ginger Force user in all of Star Wars.
It's like, why are you allowing this to happen? You're taking away my one thing.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, it's pretty cool to see it happening. Like you said, that like, I don't know if this is actively filming or if this is just like people standing around the set. It kind of looks like one of the characters.
Oh, they're definitely, I mean, they definitely have a scene set up. There's no doubt about it. Yeah,
like they're looking at whatever is directly in front of them, which may look like one of those conditioning pods that you pulled up in the concept art. So, I mean, it's a good piece of set.
Hey, I always like leaks. I do. Even if there's like almost nothing to go off of, it's still fun to speculate what it could be, but also when the series comes out to see if you can actually spot where the leak came from, what scene it was, what episode it was in. I like going on those types of where Waldo hunts. But
yeah.
All right. So yeah, I'm excited for Andor. I don't think we have a firm date, but you'd have to anticipate 2022. And beyond.
It's probably going to be, the series follow-up or the series preceding Kenobi, because we know they're not going to butt them up or release them at the same time. Like
I don't even think you'd get a Star Wars break Star Wars. I think at best you'd get a Star Wars Marvel or something, then Star Wars.
Then Star Wars, yeah. Exactly.
Because I mean, that's another one Nick and I predicted. I mean, we called the fucking Disney Plus cadence years ago. We're like, you're never going to get something at the same time, and they're going to rotate with maybe 3 to 4 weeks off in between once it's up and running, and that's exactly how it's played out.
And look what's happening right when we like almost, right when Falcon and Winter Soldier ends is when we're going to get into Bad Batch.
Yep, and then when Bad Batch ends, guess what?
That,
Loki.
And then after that, Book of Boba.
It's a beautiful time to have Disney Plus.
Yeah,
and be a pop culture nerd.
Good shit there. The next piece that we're going to roll into is like...
We've talked about this before. I think I'm just trying to will this into being by posting it over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, like, who knows?
But Detours hitting Disney Plus is getting more heat. I mean, this is something... when we dropped the post that a lot of the vintage shows would be hitting Disney Plus, which, hey, it paid off. They were kind of kicking the tires on Detours also hitting it, but another article popped up this week, and again, it came from the Vulcan Reporter, so who the fuck knows what that is?
I'm not sure.
But reading through it, and being someone who has written online for a while, they didn't sound dumb. It sounded like they had some facts, they had some details, they had episode counts, potentials, voice actors, this, that, and the other thing. You gotta remember, this was commissioned while George owned the license. He was a part of this project. This isn't just Seth and Matt Seinrich doing more robot chicken fun. George would have had to have blessed this project for them to create, and they had Billy D. I mean, they had a lot of the voices. I mean, this was a pretty fleshed out series, not unlike George's Underworld, and it just kind of came when I think he was hemming and hawing over. Do I want to keep doing this shit? But the Vulcan Reporter, like I said, they've reignited the rumor that Star Wars Detours will be hitting Disney Plus soon. They've gone as far to say that they would say it's going to hit on May the 4th.
That's the only piece that I think is, unless it's just like additional content and they're just like saying like, hey, we made this and here it is now. I would find it like it would fall on the same release day as the release date for Bad Batch, which I think would be an odd move.
Well, you could also look at it like the vintage stuff. I don't think one official post was made for the Ewok movies or the Clone Wars movies. There was no hubbub. I mean, we were talking about that weeks before it happened because it just kind of leaked out. Yeah. So they were kind of saying this may just be like a May the 4th surprise. But you are right.
Star Wars Day.
It would fuck our cadence, but it's also not a brand new show. It is vintage, if you will. And it sounds like, if these people can be trusted, the Vulcan Reporter, that at this point in time, upwards of 52 episodes have been completed for Detours. And Detours was supposed to be set in between Sith and A New Hope, so it's that era we were just talking about that's ripe for storytelling. But it was obviously going to take a very satirical approach, kind of follow the Lego Star Wars animation universe in terms of its tone. It wasn't going to be very serious. It wasn't going to be, canon type of shit. It was just going to be fun. I know this is, Tones vomits every time he hears about Detours. But I really think this show had a ton of potential. If you like Lego Star Wars and the humor that's woven in there, this is what that show was going to perfect. It was going to be robot chicken Lego Star Wars.
Yeah, dude. I hope it happens because this kind of shit really, I enjoy having the serious tone to Star Wars and a lot of the content that's out there, but you also need to be able to spoof yourself. You also need to be able to poke fun at yourself, especially for a franchise that's this expansive and that's going to continue to expand. Having something like this where you can actively just kind of make fun of yourself.
Yeah. And they were doing it. They were doing it in the imagery and the writing. I mean, I've got an image in there of an episode.
I love the fucking Boba.
You got Boba Fett. He literally is little kid Boba Fett, but he's fully in his armor, hanging out with Bosk, who's an adult. But they're playing on the idea that Boba was a kid at the end of Revenge of the Sith. So,
no, dude, I love the concept of it and. What we saw, I probably watched the minimal trailers that were released for Detours when they first came out, probably 15 times.
I was so excited that this was coming out because I am a huge fan of the Lego Star Wars series. They're not all on Disney Plus for some reason. But I think they have 6 or 7 of them, but they're fucking hilarious. They tell good stories, but it's nonstop tongue-in-cheek, making fun of the Star Wars universe. The holiday special was the most recent example of the brand of humor that these animated Star Wars shows go for, and I love that too. I mean, you had 3 or 4 generations of Kenobi all going hello there. You had that Mandalorian kind of blurb to tip its nod to that new series. It just, I think these animated satirical shows for Star Wars it's a nice kind of companion to the more serious stuff.
Yeah, I totally agree. So hopefully there is some juice behind this. We have no reason to believe that it is real though. We don't even know. The person here is claiming that there's already been 52 episodes completed for it. We have no way to validate that. We have no reason to believe that there are any episodes completed for it because we don't know how deep they got into development before.
Right.
they essentially shut it down with the Disney acquisition. But you would have to imagine that if they had active trailers out for it and they were starting their marketing machine, that you had something. So yeah, I'm excited for it. I hope it happens, and it would be a pretty awesome addition to Disney Plus to give this.
Yeah, I mean that vintage section
is
is filling out quite nicely. I mean, my daughter and we have now completed both of the Ewok movies.
Well, there you go.
The first one, I definitely wasn't a huge fan of the first one when I was a kid because I barely remembered it. I mean, I remember bits and pieces, but it's pretty bad. The second one, though, Battle for Endor, that's still a classic. I mean, it looks like shit now. I mean, it's so bad looking.
Stop motion.
It's so bad. Yeah. It's so bad. But, Sindel and a fully talking Wicket, it's just all the Ewoks could start talking basic essentially in the Battle for Endor. But you had Tarek, you had the witch. It was just good. Noah and the ship and the power cell. I don't know. So we like that one, but I do think Detours would be a great addition to the vintage section. I don't think they need a big hubbub for it because, again, it is old. It is non-canon. It's already in the can, so why spend money on a marketing machine? It's just a bonus. Yeah. Hey, Star Wars fans, May the 4th, thank you for your subscription money and supporting us. Here's another addition to the vintage section. All right.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Now we're kind of moving. We're getting towards our toy and fan section here, and to kick this one off, we have a tease potentially of what could be coming to Disney parks.
It's coming.
Soon.
We just don't know how fucking real this is.
Yeah, apparently it is happening. So during a special event entitled a special look inside Disney parks.
You run with the old P meters hit full. So
there was
go ahead
moment,
and run.
There was a moment in the show where the vice president or the Disney Parks and Experiences chairman, Josh D'Amaro, was talking about all the things coming to Galaxy's Edge and Disney Parks and stuff like that. And to close out this segment, he essentially picked up a lightsaber hilt, pushed a button, and this is a lightsaber hilt with nothing attached to it, hit a button and it ignited in a way that really, as a consumer, we've never seen before. And he closes the video by saying it's real. So essentially teasing a realistic style lightsaber will be coming to Disney parks very, very soon. Now, we all know that they didn't make a real ass lightsaber. Like, the closest that's ever been made to a real ass lightsaber is this video that I put at the bottom of the StarWarsTime.net post on this story, and it's from Hacksmith, and they created an actual proto saber that ignites with a real plasma blade that they can use to cut through basically anything they put in front of it. It's not going to be that. What is more than likely it's going to be is...
I'm going to switch to I'll switch to that Yahoo article.
Okay, yeah. So they've figured out, and there is a patent. Disney does have a patent for a retractable light blade that comes out of a hilt. And there's a tweet from Ben Ridout on Twitter. He has very little following, but he's like he's a web developer, and he dug up the patent that Disney has for a lightsaber that does something like this. And essentially what he can, he made an animation
using tape measures and shit.
Yeah. He made an animation himself basically showing what this would look like. And he uses tape measures to give you guys an idea of like how this technology would work. So if you have a tape measure, you know that it can basically expand and retract by itself.
And then it has like a track of LED lights that
kind of just goes up, and that would emit your light blade. So, and like I said, this is the first of its kind. The closest that we have to a light emitting blade saber right now requires you to literally, like, you have, let me see, I don't have one on me right now. It's in my closet, but you have a 3.5-4 foot long plastic blade that you have to plug into your hilt. You hit the button.
It's like you have a skinny fluorescent light tube attached to your hilt.
So, but this would eventually if they're doing what this claims to be doing, your blade would come out of your hilt, and then it would immediately start emitting light based off of when you hit your button.
Yeah.
Which I think would be pretty fucking cool, man.
Damn straight. I was going to say, so do you think this is being created for an attraction or for dollars?
I mean, this is for dollars, I think. If they have a patent on this to this degree, they're planning on marketing and selling.
And what would
these.
You pay for this?
I mean, that's what I was going to say, man. So if you think
about, they already charge
like
damn near $200 for the janky ones, right?
Yeah, it's like for the Savvy's Workshop experience, you pay what, $250?
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it's up there,
$225, $250. But that you're also paying for the experience with that. Like you're paying for you go into the workshop, you pick your crystal, you get this entire immersive experience around it. If they're just selling these and there's no like build it thing kind of built into the experience, then I gotta imagine that they're probably selling it for around the same price, $250 maybe.
Oh, no way, no way, bro.
I would hope
these. I'm seeing through the Force right now. I can see it as clear as Luke could see his friends on Bespin.
Yeah,
$4.99 minimum.
$4.99
minimum.
Okay,
I would not be surprised if these are pushing a G.
Oh man, I don't know. Like,
we need to see it. Like I can't give a firm price on it, but just knowing Disney and knowing Star Wars, I think 500 is the low end.
It depends on the level of craftsmanship for sure. Like if they're making this like they made like those little ones for kids where you can like go like that, like flip your wrist and then the blade like the blade comes out in like a tiered
like a Walmart lightsaber.
Then you're talking pittance. You're talking $50, $60, $70. Given the way that this has been described, if you're talking a full metal hilt,
right,
and a blade that extends, that's not like the tricky part to this is going to be like the blade has to be collapsible in order for it to go back into the hilt.
Right. So if you're swinging it around, is it flipping around in the air like a wet noodle?
That's what I was going to say. Do you have a material that when it comes out and is fully extended, it's not like fucking plasticky?
Yeah.
It's not cheap.
Can you still duel? Can you still pretend that you're you've seen these people out there at the conventions, they all got their fucking sabers beating each other up in the parking lot.
Because like, the ones that you get from like these custom saber manufacturers, or even like the blades that you get from the Galaxy's Edge swords and the Disney Park swords, like they are pretty, like you're not supposed to hit people with them, but they're not flimsy. Like you can swing these around and be very aggressive with them. And as long as you're not fucking hitting a tree or somebody else, they're not going to break. Like, so they would have had to figured out like a material that they could use that would be sturdy enough to be very aggressive with your motions without being like a fucking piece of paper, or it is more of a low priced item because of that. Because the blade that comes out is very flimsy.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they would do this big hubbub if it's just a little gimmicky thing. I mean, I think they're trying to position this as the next evolution of a lightsaber collectible. So knowing that, and like I said, knowing Disney, knowing Star Wars, and knowing idiots like me, they're going to start at 500.
Oh, I'll buy one. Look,
I'm not saying I'm not going to buy one. Who the fuck? Just like Tone said, he's like, you'll buy one, Matt. It's like, what? That's supposed to be shit talking? Of course I will. I fucking buy anything. Star Wars.
Yeah, no, I'll buy it. But it's just that's the only thing that I don't know yet.
If it comes out and it really is like a tape measure lightsaber, because I know Nick has probably done it. I've done it when I was little. I'd pull them out and zip them back in. Like, look, it's like a lightsaber. And if it's that fucking flimsy, there's no way I'll buy it. But if
it's $500 and like I can literally go like this and the blade just bends,
it welts like my penis. Right. I would. It's got to come out. It's got to come out with some sort of speed and force. I'm sitting. You should see me. I'm basically. It looks like I'm sitting here masturbating myself, trying to illustrate a blade coming out. But anyways, it's got to come out with some speed, right? It can't just be. It's got to be like. And like you said, I've got to be able to make swings and I should see light streaks and trails versus the saber bending like a willow in the wind.
Yeah. I just don't know, because I can't think of something that would, one, maintain the structural integrity that you need to do that in a real quote unquote. I mean, I know it's not real, but like that matches the blade style that we have now, and like the Master Effects sabers or the Disney parks or these custom manufactured.
Yeah, you got to have that quality of hilt. That's
because if your blade comes out and it's like the tiered ones that you get from Walmart,
stupid.
like nobody wants that.
Stupid. And don't give me a fat ass hilt just to fit the guts in either. Yeah. Like, I love the Savvy experience. I recommend it for anyone that has the money and can get there and can do it. It is fun for the experience. But Nick will tell you, those lightsabers are like fucking flashlights. I mean, they're huge.
So...
Oh, he disappeared into his rebel base background. There he is.
So I have my Savvy's Workshop saber. I will show it to you, and I know that you guys on the audio only aren't going to get it, so I'll describe it as best as possible. So here's
it's
the
huge.
hilt.
It's huge.
It's massive, and I know that you're having a hard time seeing it. What I'll do is I'll see if I can turn off my my background. And then that way, here we go. No background. Nick is here. So I'm holding this. You can see that like my hand, I have an average size hand for a man, and it fits, like it just wraps around to where my thumb is touching my middle finger with a full grip around it. And it's a very beefy blade. It's heavy. It's not something that you could use
you could use that thing as a blunt force object to take someone out.
It's very heavy.
You could cave a skull in if you wanted to.
Now, this one that I have here, you can see much shorter already. Yeah. In terms of light, it's very light. This is machined aluminum.
Yeah, that seems...
And in terms of grip, like you can see that you can get your hand much farther around this blade.
That's the right size, right? That's the right diameter, circumference, whatever the fuck you want to call it. But that's what they got to do.
So this, like, out of these sabers, I want to see this style. Right. This very light, very easy to move.
Yes.
And not this chunky. I mean, just look at them next to each other. Look at that. Like,
oh my God. It's hard to, like, it really is huge.
Like the Savvy's Workshop blade is essentially, call it four.
I mean, I hate to say this because of the money we spent. The Savvy blades are high-end Walmart lightsabers.
Yeah. I mean, you're paying for the experience there for sure. And they wanted to give you a very... It feels expensive because it's heavy. It's all metal. It's and stuff like that. But I mean, like, you can't compare the usability of that blade to this one here. I mean, it's just not even in like this one here. Like, super cool. You can like ignite it, and it has the swing effect. I want it to be like a blade like this that has all the effects and stuff like that. But you have a blade that emits from it. Yeah.
I mean, let's be real. These guys, they're snake oil salesmen for the most part. He's got to pump it up like it's something out of this world. But I do have a feeling when we see the finished product, it's not even going to be close to what is in our heads as little Star Wars fanboys.
I know.
There's just no way.
And that's the thing is, like, there's no video of this. Like, there was a video when these people were watching this special look inside. I don't know if it was very limited.
No, it was very locked down. Like, no sharing this, no sharing that. It was literally just a presser to announce it to generate the initial buzz. Yeah.
There's no video of it, so I can't say whether like what it looked like or anything like that. But for this guy to ignite that blade and say it's real, like, that is a very big hype play.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who Ben Ridout is. I'm assuming he was there, but he said, "Did Disney invent a real working lightsaber?" Yes, they did. So I will kind of take that as there's some promise here. Like, I'm not completely writing this off. I am interested, and if it is just even 80% cool looking or what I have in my head, I'll donate my 500. But if it is like Nick said, and it's bordering on the telescoping shit, the stacking system, and it's got a fat hilt, like this big, like bear can penis size hilt, no way. No way.
But it is interesting, and it's cool to see that Disney is out there, and obviously this is a big, they're doing this to try to sell more items.
Of course,
but if they can make
gotta
something
get people back in the parks,
cool,
right? The California park, I think, is finally letting people in again.
Yeah, they are. So I really do hope that this turns out to be everything that we want it to be. But man, you would need to have a lot of technical innovations in there for it, like just in the material
right
alone.
But that's why I'm saying I think 500 is the lowest it's gonna be, dude, because this is they probably had to innovate some shit in there. They probably had to what do they call it, the Disney engineers or the Mouseketeers, they probably had to Imagineer this shit, so they're gonna be charging a pretty penny. But so. I'll reserve final buying judgment for when we see the product. But hey, did you see this too in this article? Aaron Rodgers and Shailene Woodley like cuddling, Star Wars, and singing Lion King, and there he is wearing his Star Wars shirt at Disney. So
hey, look at that!
It's a good looking couple there. I like those two together. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I like Shailene. I like those dumb movies she was in, and they didn't finish because they didn't do too well.
Oh, the
Insurgent, right?
And
Divergent, Insurgent, Revergent, Resurgence. Who the fuck knows? But look at that! Look at that guy. He can't host Jeopardy to save his fucking life.
Yeah, but he can. Apparently, LeVar Burton is really making a push for that.
I take that. I just finished. Over the past couple weeks or months, I've committed to watching all these Star Trek motion pictures except for Star Trek 1 because it's terrible. So I started at Wrath of Khan, and then this weekend I finished with Star Trek Nemesis, which was the final Picard film.
Yeah,
that had some things that lead directly into the Picard series. You know what? Make fun of me, Nick. Star Trek is just a damn good science fiction franchise. It really is.
It is. It's good, man.
It'll never be I'm not to the point where like I feel like I have to learn about all the lore and history like Star Wars. Like Star Wars, I still feel like it's almost real, and I have to be a scholar of it, and I have to know everything. Where Star Trek, I've had a blast over the past year or two just going on Netflix, throwing up. I started with Next Generation, then I went to Deep Space Nine. Now I'm on Voyager. I'm about to finish that. Then I'll go to the Enterprise series. But I just enjoy throwing them on at night when I'm kind of getting ready to fall asleep, maybe playing Swago, maybe editing some toy photos, and just watching some good old sci-fi TV through Star Trek, because it's a much more nerdy, like science-oriented show. But it's fun. They have fun concepts. They do interesting things with the characters. And honestly, if there was a dream future, I would want it to be the Starfleet future where there's no more money because people don't suck. There's just really no more bullshit. Everyone's just kind of cool. No, people don't care about race anymore. Yeah,
like the planet has come together for the greater purpose of
exploring and taking humanity into the galactic society. And this is all fake, I understand it, but even there the humans essentially had to almost kill themselves out. But after they had their nuclear holocaust, you had the warp speed kick in, then the Vulcans came, and here we go. Earth was no longer a cesspool of pieces of shit.
There you go. So I have no issues with Star Trek. I'm not like one of those weird Star Wars fans who are like, oh, fucking Trekkies, they're dumb. Yeah. In my opinion, it's two completely different
they're not even they're not even on the same plane. That's why I like them. Yeah. One is truly about science and not being a piece of shit. The other one is it's more fantasy based, more fantastical.
It's like a sci-fi fantasy opera. But in terms of these Disney Park Sabers, I'm going to be in Disney in November. So if they're available at that time, I will try to give you guys as much of a look as possible.
Just make sure to get your booster shot by then. Yeah, you'll be close to that 6-month tap up window. And over here in the States, I'm sorry, but we're going to be taking COVID vaccines until we die. We're going to have to. It's going to be like the flu shot. There's no way. I mean,
it'll be the flu shot.
There's no way.
I think that a doctor had already come out. Like one of the
it's endemic here.
CDC
it is endemic, at least in the United States, and I'm sure other parts of the world. But we just had Hideous in here an hour or two ago. I mean, Australia, New Zealand, they haven't even had a fucking case of COVID for months. Like before even the vaccine showed up, they kicked this thing's ass. But lo and behold, here we are. All right, man. Let's talk some
I'll keep an eye
toys. It is time for the toys, and then we'll end with the fan segment. So we're rounding third at this point, about ready to put the show to bed. But I'm sure we'll be with you for at least another 45 minutes. Nick and I failed our pregame challenge of keeping the show under 3 hours, as we kind of figured. But last week, Hasbro did something new. Nick, they had this Hasbro Pulse fan event. Apparently, the pre-show, they had to disable the comment stream because of how many people were just shitting all over them because, that's how people are.
That's the internet.
You can't just take your opinion and explain it nicely. You got to be like, fuck you, Hasbro. You killed my mom by releasing that ugly looking figure. I hate you. And now I'm going to stab out my eyes because you're reminding me of my childhood and what I used to love and you've ruined it. So you know how dramatic Star Wars fans are, and then especially collectors. We're super dramatic, the collector bunch. But anyways, during the fan event, which was last Friday, they went through all of their lines and ended with Star Wars. And I will say we did get a pretty damn good looking wave of new Black Series figures that'll be coming. In fact, you can pre-order them now. Use our post, the one you're looking at on the live stream, or if you're listening on a podcast platform, just go to StarWarsTime.net and search Hasbro Pulse Fan Event and use our link to Entertainment Earth because you could get me another figure that's going to piss me off and result in that figure's death. But, Nick, here's what we got. So the latest wave of Black Series revealed during this Hasbro Pulse Fan Event includes... And I fucked this up in the post and never fixed it because I'm a scumbag journalist. It is not Crosshair from the Bad Batch. It's Tech. So I think this is the fourth Bad Batcher we've gotten in Black Series form. So we almost have the full squad. I think we're just waiting on Echo at this point. But we got to look at Tech. He's up for pre-order. Use our link if you haven't gotten him yet. We got Q90 or Zero from The Mandalorian. Again, just a good-looking figure. It's a good-looking figure. I've really tried in 2021 to curb the 1/12 scale buying because of how much 1/6 scale buying has happened. And so far, I'm failing. I've done all right, but this wave, I'm not going to lie, Nick, I had to get the whole one, and we're not through it yet. So that was Zero. Okay. Then we got probably my favorite of the line, and it's not so much that I love the character of Aura Singh. I just think she's very interesting looking and makes for a good looking figure. I mean, she truly is like a white painted version of that crazy guy from Mad Max in the Beyond the Thunderdome. You know, the dude that like wears, he essentially wears like a skull on a pole behind his head. Yeah. She kind of reminds me of that guy, but she's just a cool looking character. She's got those long fingers, the bald head.
The long rifle accessory looks really good too.
Yeah, I mean remember she showed up in the Phantom Menace. She gets a very quick little Easter egg type of cameo.
She does.
So you got Aura's in that wave. Genro, I like that. Like Wilro Hood. General Lando Calrissian. Sorry, I do not have Tourette's with the word general. But we got General Lando Calrissian based on his Return of the Jedi look, when he's talking about his maneuvers at the Battle of Teneb. So we got some a little shit on this Lando, but I think he'll look all right. They didn't quite like the face.
Yeah, I'd say the face seems a little off.
Yeah, but hey, it's Lando. You got to have Lando in his general outfit, and then finally Casca Reeves. And how can you pass up on a Mandalorian figure? I'll tell you, you can't. So you got to get this one. Like Joe's saying in the chat, he passed on buying Aura Singh because of some sort of antenna.
It looked like on her head there was like if you look on her head, there's like an antenna coming out of her head.
Surely is. So who the fuck knows what that is, but we'll just run with it. I got it. You didn't. So I'm better than you. Okay. I have the full wave. You do not. FOMO on that.
Yeah. Okay. Way to go, Joe.
No, he's smart. He's unlike me. He actually has self-control, and when something doesn't look perfect or up to his standards, he can actually say no. Where I'm like, well, it's part of a wave. Might as well order the whole wave. Why not? $118 later. Here we go. All right, so we got that. Well, we also got some TVC. I mistakenly, because we didn't get many details on this ship that you saw in the Battle of Scarif, but it's Blue Leader and his X-Wing. I think they're coming in, I now know they're coming in 375-inch format. These are not Black Series. So once again, I fucked this post up, but because we're not real, we don't care about what we write or post, I didn't go back and edit it once I learned the truth. I like spreading Star Wars collectible disinformation. That's my thing.
There you go.
And then we also, in the Black Series line, not figure, is the Wedge Antilles helmet. So those of you that like getting the helmets, these Black Series helmets really do look great. I kind of debated going back and ordering the Mandalorian's Black Series helmet, but again, Nick, it comes down to, do you want to spend your daughter's college fund on Star Wars Barbies, or do you want to start expanding your collection, taking up more space, and just generally making your family hate you even more? So I decided to pass on the helmets.
That's a good move.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a good pass on your part.
I appreciate that. I need that.
Like, they're big. I mean, like, they're full size.
Oh, they're fucking real. Like you can
space.
strap these on. Yeah, and space. Once the Funko Pop sell-off is complete, and if I do decide to get rid of the Star Wars Pops, I'll have a lot more kind of storage space. Not in what you're looking at if you're on the live stream. That's the civilized portion of Star Wars HQ. But I also have some closed door stuff where the not so great looking collectibles go, because they don't sit in boxes in House Haywood anymore. I mean, these motherfuckers, as soon as they show up, they're coming out of the box. I still feel anxious sometimes doing it. I'll tell you what, Nick, when I opened that 50th anniversary Qui-Gon Jinn from Best Buy, and it had that nice hologram, shiny card back, kind of homage to the 1/18 scale figures for the Phantom Menace, I almost decided to keep it in the box, but I was like, don't be an asshole. Don't be an asshole.
You have to keep on that road. You can never keep the box.
Yeah, so I just ripped that box off, and here we go. And then last but not least, you TVC fans out there, we actually got a ton of TVC reveals. It seems that Hasbro has taken note that the 375-inch collector base is not gone and dead. They want to spend money. They want more toys, so they're getting them. So we're getting a Luke Skywalker Hoth in the vintage collection. We're getting a Admiral, it's a trap, Akbar in the TVC. We're getting an Emperor's Royal Guard complete with alternate helmet and shoulder decoration. We are getting Han Solo Endor, and I clicked too many times. All right, and then this really got the 375-inch crowd excited, and that's the fact that they're doing some gaming greats figures at this scale now.
Oh shit! Yeah, they got the Purge.
You got the Purge Trooper.
Electro stuff.
You got the Shadow Stormtrooper from Force Unleashed. Scout Trooper from Fallen Order, and a heavy battle droid from Battlefront 2.
Yeah, dude, those Shadow Troopers and the Purge Troopers, they always look good. I mean, doesn't matter the scale. It's just those are cool looking, like, characters.
Oh yeah, totally. I'll tell you what, dude. If I didn't cross over to the Black Series a few years ago, because I don't know, I saw people taking pictures of that scale, I was like, holy shit, I want to try that. I probably would have never left collecting them. I've always been a 3 3/4 inch collector. I mean, that's all the way up. I mean, really, all the way up through Rogue One. I collected the full waves. I mean, I can see them right now. They're still in boxes, in their packages. That's one of the reasons I'm glad I stopped collecting 3 3/4 inch, because those I could not take out of their boxes, and I still can't. I mean, I've got the Thrawn 3 1/4. I got nice ones from Rogue One just sitting in there. But if I never got on the Black Series bandwagon, I'd 100% be going nuts with the TVC at this point in time, because they're a fraction of the price. I know they're still a little more than I'd like to spend for that size of figure. I mean, they're upwards of $10, $12 at some of these. But damn, do they look good now. And they've got, I mean, the posability has been increased. You're getting more than just 5 points. You're getting knees, elbows, hands, heads, accessories. So who knows? Maybe one of these days I'll make the flip back to this scale. But they really, Hasbro has, I mean, they've upped their game across all their lines, even though some fans get angry at them, as I do too. I mean, I don't buy from Hasbro Pulse anymore. I go through Entertainment Earth because I can't trust the motherfucking company that produces the toys to actually have them in stock 2 minutes after they go on sale. So outside of Hasbro's selling practices, I'm still a fan of what they've been doing with Black Series and TVC. But that's what we got from the fan event.
Yes,
and
lots of good ways to waste your money. Of
course, and I wasted about 118 of my monies on that fan event. Thank you.
There you go.
And the last one in the new Star Wars toy roundup for this episode, we got word of a Pop Deluxe series going on at GameStop, and the first one they have is it's called the Star Wars Bounty Hunters Collection. And believe it or not, the first bounty hunter you can collect is Boba Fett.
Not Din Djarin,
Right.
Boba Fett.
So what they're doing here, Nick,
he's even got like the blue coloring to his outfit.
yes. So what they're doing here, I don't know if you can see the stand that he's on.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming at some point in time, this series is going to be fleshed out with Dangar, Forlom, Zuckuss.
Giving you the whole
Right,
crew that you
because-
saw in Empire.
Because the diorama stand that they're on, once you put them all together, it's going to recreate the bridge scene from Empire Strikes Back, where Vader's talking to him, setting up the job.
Yeah, you can see that it'll like definitely snap into something. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so you Funko Pop people, this is available now. I think it's $19.99. You can grab it over using the link on StarWarsTime.net. It's going to take you over to GameStop.
There you go.
So there you go.
And that's all the
Let's
toys
fan
for
it
this
up.
week.
It's time for the fans. Greg's in here. He's bitching about top 5. Don't worry, Greg. You can bet your ass that your most recent Boba Fett shot will not be in the top 5 because I didn't even put it in the feature folder. So how do you like that? How do you like
Look at
them
that.
apples?
Look at
Mr.
that.
Negative, Mr. Me.
Shut down.
Yeah,
But
no, Tones
we
is like,
do
hey,
have-
Tones is like, hey, that's a great Boba shot, and Greg doing his usual Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh stuff. Well, Nick will never put in the top 5. Well, you were right
Greg,
this time
in the
because
top 5 like 3 times.
you didn't even
man.
get past the first gatekeeper, and that's me. So,
Damn. Shut down.
but I've got
even
some other
get to
Greg
look
Goose.
at
I've got another Greg Goose snaps in there. He's just one of the most impatient motherfuckers we've got. That with the top 5, so we still love you, Greg.
Greg thinks that everything that he touches turns to top 5 gold.
But don't worry. Like you keep pushing me like you've pushed Nick. I'll just be like him and never let you pass the gate.
Yeah, the gate is shut.
All right, Nick. So what do we do? Question of the week to start off, since I think the battle bracket was underneath that, or do battle bracket first?
we can do the question of the week first because you threw out a good question here related to one of our topics, as Matt does every week. He says, "What other iconic characters do you want to see in the Kenobi series?"
Right.
It's a very good question.
Well, it must not have been to the fans, or I'm the algo is off when I post these now because we're back to getting pretty much zero reaction to it. I told Nick we've had one of our lowest weeks in terms of listenership too. So maybe we just have finally scared off or pissed off, or we've had enough people cancel us over our apparent woke views. Woke. Yeah. We're woke as fuck over here in the Star Wars Time Show. So all those people have canceled us. But we still got 5 responses, so let's dive in. And those that do respond, I love you. It's starting to make us look kind of silly when it's the same people all the time, which just reinforces the fact that we have no following.
Hey, this first one up, though, that's a new responder. I've never seen this name before. That's Cantina Stories _HMWC. And even though it's a short response, it's still a response. He hits us with Bail Organa.
And I even though Jimmy Smits wasn't included in that casting grid, and let's be real, this is the first time they've ever put out a casting grid for a Disney Plus show. So don't be surprised if you're still going to get some surprises, like we said with Qui-Gon. And I too would think that Bail could lend himself for a little bit of a cameo in Kenobi, even though Jimmy Smits was not mentioned.
I do agree. I mean, like Jimmy Smits was even made his way into Rogue One. So like a character like that is really kind of integral to the post-Republic days, helping to establish the rebellion, and then also essentially being the father to one of the Skywalker twins. You figured important enough to make their way into the Kenobi series in some form or fashion. So I agree.
Even if just a call or like a holo call. And
holo call, quick.
Let's be real. That casting grid, those are probably the show stars, the regulars.
Yeah, main characters.
Where, guest stars don't usually get on the billing, on the billboard, right? I mean, guest stars are guest stars. And not until they become part of the main cast would they get that type of billing. So I'm holding out hope that there is going to be some bail, because it just makes too much sense with some of the dialogue from Rogue One and really A New Hope. I mean, they're going to fucking meet with Bail Organa on Alderaan, so...
Yeah, I hope so. I hope that's the case, because I think that would be pretty fucking sick. Yep. But yeah, good response there by Cantina Stories _HMWC. Next up, we have Mando _mugshots. He says Zuckuss and Forlom. Yeah, I mean, bring them back in. I don't know if Kenobi would be the right avenue for Zuckuss and Forlom. And I also don't know if they're still alive. Like, I don't know if they were maybe killed off in the comic series, but I think that those two in particular would make a good addition to like the Boba series, Mando.
Yeah, I mean, to me, any of the famous bounty hunters should be earmarked for Book of Boba.
Yeah.
And then maybe bleed into Mando.
Yeah, I think that's the better approach to take with him.
But a Zuckuss and a Forlom is like an Easter egg, or they're just in the background, maybe sitting in the cantina. I
mean, maybe they could already, we see that they're regulars in the employ of the Empire, you could say, by Empire Strikes Back. So maybe they get hired early on. Hey, I know Kenobi's still out there. Hunt him down. Go kill fucking... try to find and kill Kenobi or something like that.
I just want to hear them talk, because they're both, the one's a fucking bot. The other one's got basically a bot head on. I mean, he's got like this bug eye looking thing. All right. Up next, we got, Grief Cardboard is back after, I'll take Grief's. Grief's been gone for a while, so welcome back, Mr. Cardboard. We speak your name. Here we go.
Indeed.
Fucking Kitster. I would love to see the happy-go-lucky, optimistic, wizard-loving kid from TPM. It would awesome to see him running his own pit crew for a pod racer. Or they could go dark with him and have him be a bounty hunter working for Jabba out of Mos Eisley, leaving us wondering how such a happy kid turned into such a dark individual. Sad. Very sad indeed.
Mr. Cardboard did bring it down to a dark level there. At the end.
Kitster, he got hooked to death sticks and he's all fucked up and cracked out.
Yeah, like he tried to be a racer, but like he fucking crashed his pod, and like the first race he was ever in, and ever since then he's been like he was a junker.
Right. And anytime he hears someone say that's so wizard, he punches them in the face because he's like, hey, that was my line, motherfucker.
Yeah, he could have a dark turn. Any of those Tatooine slave kids, man, their future probably wasn't bright. So
I like that one. Fucking Kitster.
What a fucking pull.
Yeah, that's a deep dive, but it is. That's so wizard. So good one there, Grief Cardboard. Nice to see you.
Good shit. Next up is Balance _N_the _toys. Balance in the toys says James Arnold Taylor's Imperial Officer from the Kenobi fan film would be a fun addition. Not sure I want to see many cameos aside from those announced already, though. I mean, like Matt and I were saying, I don't think that what was announced are cameos. I think that Hayden is going to be in this show for, he might be in it for every episode.
Yeah, it could very well be every episode, but it's definitely going to be more than one.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be more than one. Cameo stuff, I think James Arnold Taylor, so for those of you who don't know who he is the voice of Kenobi in Clone Wars. He does the Kenobi
and he,
voice
for some
acting.
reason, has a large role in the last Blockbuster documentary.
He does.
I was man, James must have been hard up for some cash or just some attention, because why the fuck are they talking to this guy about Blockbuster?
I can't remember because they talked to a lot of people who used to work there who are now like celebrity-ish status. So I can't remember because I watched it and I really enjoyed it.
I'm not going to lie, I felt a little bad for James watching that because it seems like he tries very hard and like has to remind everybody that he's done Star Wars and this and that.
Oh, James, trust me, James is not hurting for work. Yeah. He works a lot.
He just, I don't know, he just seemed like he was playing it up to the camera a little too much. Like wasn't being completely natural.
Yeah, I mean, he isn't a voice actor; he's an actor, so maybe he's turning it up a little bit. But yeah, if you look at his, his IMDb page,
he's legit. He's legit.
He's got a lot of stuff. I mean, he is a voice actor, of course. He's not like a, I don't think he's ever been in anything live action himself.
Well, I guess that's what it felt like he was auditioning to the camera, like, "Hey, I can do voices," and I'm talking about Blockbuster for some reason.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, like he's not hurting for work for sure. But I think it would be cool. I mean, we've essentially already seen one voice actor brought in to play a role. That was, Katie Sackhoff reprising her role as Bo-Katan. I think it would be fun to throw a bone to, James Arnold Taylor's, but nobody would know who he was outside of the people who are really in the know about the voice acting community.
Bang Bang knows what I'm talking about. Like he had his like Obi-Wan cardboard up there. It felt like he was, really trying to flex his clout. Like, yeah, I'm James Arnold Taylor. Hey, whatever. I'm jealous, James. Just being a jealous shithead, bro.
There you go. Right. No, I think it would be.
Who's next? Oh, we got, I think we have an award winner in here. We got, this is press pause. So Connor.
Okay, so press pause.
I know it's a long shot, but I hope to see Ahsoka in flashbacks. For no other reason than a Clone Wars flashback with Kenobi, Anakin, and Ahsoka would be the final bridge to tie animation to live action. It would put a nice little bow on the saga for me, especially since we know Hayden is confirmed. And Qui-Gon, that's my real hope, but that feels pretty likely already.
Yeah, you see, even Connor here knows that the likelihood of the Qui-Gon happening is pretty high. I think the Ahsoka thing is really interesting because now it's beyond possible. Like it is very readily available for you to do that. Obviously the trick is going to be like
it would be a 100% fan service in my opinion.
Yeah, and you would have to do like you're talking to. I don't know. Rosario could do it, but like Rosario initially plays an Ahsoka that's essentially 20 something years older than, or 30 years older than the last time that we saw her.
Well, that's why everyone was saying when the casting came out, I forget the black female's name. It was Moses something. Yeah, that's why everyone's like, oh, she's going to be the young Ahsoka.
I mean, she could be.
But do you really cast a whole other human just for a flashback, and now you got more continuity issues with head tails and I would love to see it because like press pause says 100%
it would be a beautiful transition.
It is pure fan service, but done in a way that, as he said, just cements the fact that they've crossed over in between live animation back to live, so on and so forth. I do think there is going to be a Clone Wars flashback. I just don't know if Ahsoka is going to be in it.
Yeah, I think it would be really cool if they were able to pull that off in a believable way, and I think they can. I mean, they've never really done anything egregious so far with their casting or with their how they've portrayed characters in any of their live action TV shows yet. So I feel confident that they can do it. It's just, do they feel the need to make that connection in the Kenobi series? But I think it would be cool. So, all
right,
good stuff.
So it's on to the battle bracket update. So those of you that are not in the know, Nick runs this on our Instagram at Star Wars Time Show. And this time around, he is doing Star Wars versus Marvel. Sometimes you may have Marvel v. Marvel or Star Wars v. Star Wars. But the goal is to find who is the strongest character, a Star Wars character or a comic book character from the Marvel Universe. And this is what our third week of it. So this week's update is going to catch you up on the number 7 seed versus the number 10. Nick, go.
Yes. So the number 7 seed Captain Marvel versus the number 10 seed Magneto.
It's closer than I postulated last week.
Yeah, because you were like, oh, it's going to be a blowout and Magneto's going to win. And me, in my people hate certain people for certain reasons brain, was like, I really feel like Captain Marvel wins this. But clearly you were right. And clearly the fans were not a huge, participants in this vote. We only had a total of, let me do some quick math here, 83 votes on this particular poll.
Well, I'll say this. I'll give our fans a little bit of a pass because I've noticed this over the past month or so. I feel like reach across the board is getting worse and worse on Instagram. I'm talking my personal stuff, Star Wars Time Show. I mean, we used to add close to 100 fans every week and a half. We're crawling right now as we approach that magical 10,000 mark. I think it was the Monday features. I don't think one of them got over 200 likes, which is odd. I just think in general, IG is fucking with the algo again and really, really hiding shit and really making it impossible to see content unless you truly tap like on an account's content every single day.
Yeah, it seems like we're at the bottom of the wheel right now for the Instagram algorithm. But I mean, this was also an all Marvel showdown here on the Star Wars versus Marvel bracket. And that happens sometimes when you build brackets with even numbers of participants on both sides. So unfortunately, yes, we're a Star Wars show and we put out a bracket that has 2 Marvel characters on it. So it wasn't necessarily resonating perfectly with our fan base. But anyway, the results broke out as such: 45% for Captain Marvel, 55% for Magneto.
Like I said, way closer.
Yeah, I mean, you were expecting it to be a complete.
I thought it was just going to be like a ridiculous blowout, like 99-1.
So I'll do some notable voters on each side so we can call out all the misogynists who voted for Magneto. And I'm just kidding. It's a legitimate vote. And I mean, you can have legitimate arguments. You women for how haters Magneto would win this. Yeah. So all of the people who voted for Magneto hate women. It is confirmed. So let's see who's on that list of haters here. Klondike Studios. Oh. Wow, Joe. Wow. Okay. Now we know what to think about Joe. Gregu snaps again.
His motto is all for dicks, no chicks.
Yeah. I mean, Gregu snaps. We know he's hated women from day one, so that's no surprise. Let's see who else we got here. That's the only 2 we'll call out here from Magneto. And then all of the good people who voted for Captain Marvel.
The people that are right.
Yeah, all of the correct people. Star Wars Toy 73.
There you go, Darth Hideous. You can't do math to save your fucking life, but...
and then me.
Hey, there you go.
That Nick C. I'm a good person, right? Yes, of course I am. Ripik Tan, a regular...
No, Ripik's becoming one of our best super fans. That person, they comment, they support us well.
I enjoy it. And then we have... Lima 4 Photos, Baron's Black Series, and potential. I think the only woman, female lady in our Discord. That's Laura Minigar. Thank you all for voting.
There you go.
And voting correctly. But that's not how voting works.
No,
voting works in the way
this election was stolen. I have proof.
I'm not going to go full Trump on you, but. I will say that in my opinion, as my vote says, I think that Captain Marvel would have won the showdown.
Like how you're
but that's now.
Yeah, Greg voted for Magneto. He's always hated women. I tell you what, he loves Gina Carano.
He does.
That was fun. All right, we got another one.
We're gonna pull up the next one now. So the next showdown is going to be between Luke Skywalker and Ahsoka Tano.
Ooh.
Oh no. The fan battle is really out here. And I will say that there's a significantly higher voter turnout. There's 217 total votes for this one.
All right.
Out of 434
that's a little bit better.
So exactly 50% of the people voted. And this is how it broke out. 53% for Luke, 47% for Ahsoka.
That's a pretty good spread, man.
It is very close, I will say, and I knew that this was going to be a close vote. I had a feeling like that it could go either way, and it really did kind of show that.
Do you think Luke's surprise cameo might have pushed him over the top since like Ahsoka?
That might have been the juice. Okay. Yeah, I think that's the juice that got him over the line. But it was 114 votes for Luke, 103 for Ahsoka. Let's see how it broke down in terms of voters. We'll go with Ahsoka first, since she was the loser, and all of these people are losers. Let's see. Notable voters for Ahsoka. The Corellian Smuggler, Intergalactic Raptor, Action Figure Neverland, man, Ripik Tan.
Oh,
Laura Minigar again. Sorry, you're on the wrong side this time.
Girl
Laura.
power.
Miss Geeky Gem.
More girl power.
More girl power. I mean, Sir Dork. Sorry, Jared.
Wrong pick.
You're a loser. Lima 4. So you can see there's a lot of. And this time, Star Wars Toy 73, Darth Hideous on the wrong side of the vote.
You're like, oh, you're a loser.
Y'all are all losers. Sorry. But thank you for voting.
I'll tell you what, though. Jared's got a sweet new shark head sent to him from Mountain Dew that he's been wearing. So that's pretty slick.
I saw that on one of his videos. But no, like on this one, I didn't vote because I really couldn't decide who to vote for. Like, I just,
this, if you really think about this one and don't get don't get all worked up with the Skywalker blood nonsense.
I still think that Luke wins.
Yeah.
Like, even if you look at it objectively, just in terms of like pure, like, yes, you can argue that Ahsoka had more Jedi training. She never really became a Jedi Knight. No. Like, she never she was not a Padawan.
Right. I mean, I think it's safe to say at this point, Ahsoka is the best of what a Jedi was supposed to be. She figured that out more than Yoda, more than Kenobi, all of them.
Yeah.
Luke had to cheat with the blood.
Yeah.
So, and we actually we have these two in the same timeline. We just saw it in Mandalorian. You have Ahsoka in episode 5, Luke in 8. So you literally plop them right out of the Mandalorian, put them in a ring at that stage. So Luke is still a fairly fresh Jedi Knight. Of his own, by the way, he made himself a Jedi Knight. No one granted him the rank of Jedi Knight. He's just like, you know what? I fucking killed my dad and didn't succumb, so I am a Jedi. Fuck you.
Yeah, Jedi Knight Luke.
I've got no braids to cut off. I'm just a Jedi. I said so. Eat a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's a fun. This one we could probably spend 20 minutes on arguing back and forth.
You could really go back and forth. It's a tough one to litigate, but I think that, like, I mean, when it comes down, like, pure force, like, yeah, I think Luke bests her in pure raw force strength. And then the lightsaber battle, I mean, it would be interesting because Ahsoka is nasty. I would
definitely, I agree 100% that Luke has more force potential and power, but in terms of lightsaber skills and fighting skills in general, I think Ahsoka smokes his ass.
Yeah, I think that's where he really gets kind of bested there. He's outclassed because, I mean, that's a lot of what training was for a Padawan, was like lightsaber skills.
Yeah, all the forms.
You basically had lightsaber skills and then force school, and Ahsoka really was a beast with the sabers. So it's hard to say that Luke could stand up to her with purely a blade. So yeah, I mean, that was a really interesting breakout, and because of those two battles that went down, one of our chatters in the live stream, Connor, aka Press Pause, he says Captain Marvel's such a poorly written character. Okay, fine. There you can have arguments there. Now you put Scarlet Witch versus Magneto. That would be interesting. Well, guess what, Connor? You got your wish, because that's going to be one of the showdowns.
You see that? You see how the Star Wars time show rolls? Look at that. That is instant fan service, people.
Instant feedback. So now you're going to have Magneto versus Scarlet Witch in round 2.
I bet he didn't know you were going to come back with that.
You didn't know. And then our final battle of round 2 will be decided this week. So we have Luke Skywalker versus either Revan or Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh, Jesus.
Oof. There we
Man,
go.
I'm hoping for an apprentice master battle on that one, but
that would be pretty.
I have a
sweet.
feeling Revan's going to mop up Mr. Hello there.
I don't know, man. Revan, I think he lost that exact showdown in our Force user battle bracket last time. Right. So it's a rematch, and Kenobi's got a lot of juice behind him with the show coming. People are ready for Mr. Hello there. But we'll see. So Connor, you're getting your wish. Magneto versus Scarlet Witch is going to be round 2 later bracket. Boom. And that's the end of the battle bracket breakdown.
Just had some Sam Witwer Tourette's right there.
I
think it was SW Props. But I saw it was like, I don't know if Sackhoff was on a podcast or they were just all chatting, but it was Katie and a dude, and they were talking to Sam. Sam was kind of in his live streaming setup. You've seen it before. He's playing a game. He's like, it looks like he's in a little library. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, I guess they were having him reenact him yelling out Kenobi like that. And dude, he was getting into it. He even eventually he stood up and just was like, Kenobi! And I'm like, Sam, we love you, buddy. We love you.
I love Sam, man. I love him. He's one of those people that
he's a dork. He's one of these. He's kind of like us, where, me in particular, if I didn't talk about my love of Star Wars, people really wouldn't know that I'm a huge fucking dork. Okay.
Yeah.
They just wouldn't know. I work out. I was popular in high school. I was captain of the football team, all that shit. As a midget, even. I was a tiny guy. I've had great success for a small man. Sam's kind of the same way, right? He's a good-looking dude. You really wouldn't know that he's such a Star Wars dork. And by that, I mean, he knows it inside and out. He knows the motivations. He knows why a certain character would say something or wouldn't say something. So when they kind of loop in like that, even Freddie Prinze got that way with Kanan.
Yeah,
where they become so invested. I appreciate that with my Star Wars actors of any flavor, voice or actually playing them in the flesh.
Yeah.
So I'll always appreciate what Sam contributed through Galen, and can we still call him Galen? Because didn't Galen get taken by an actual Galen? I guess I'll just say Star Killer.
His name is still Galen Marek.
Right. So
yeah. I guess it doesn't change his name.
We'll do Star Killer. I think more people remember him as Star Killer, but it's Star Killer and Kenobi.
It also doesn't change the fact that Star Killer is no longer canon. Right. R.I.P.
All right, man. Let's do it.
But yeah, his you can see his love for Star Wars in his.
He treats it like it's real life, like we do.
Yeah, yeah. It's. I would love to have him on the show. This guy. Sam is such a big personality and he's so well known that we would never be able to get him on this show. No. But to have a conversation with somebody like him who is as geeky as we are.
Because I could be like, hey, Sam, what was it like when you had to read this line of dialogue? And then for the next 20 minutes, we're in story time with Sam.
Yeah. And I really enjoyed talking to Silas. And I really enjoyed all the insight, all the behind the scenes stories he gave and stuff like that. But Silas isn't necessarily a Star Wars nerd like we are. So when we tried to bait him with nerd questions, it was more just that was just the job.
Yeah,
and
he's who gives a shit? He's grow up, you idiots. This is fake.
With Sam, if you were to position something like that to him,
he would get into the weeds with us on Star Wars stuff for sure.
Yeah. It would be a really fun show, and it would be a show that could last 6 hours, of course, because we just sit there
until he's like, "Yo, you guys now owe me $25,000 for my appearance fee."
Where's my appearance fee? Okay, well, sorry, sir.
Just in case you're asking, there are people asking us for appearance fees, so it's real life.
We don't have that kind of money, yo. But no, I love Sam. I loved Sam from when he played Aiden in fucking
Doomsday on Smallville. That's where I first came across the guy.
I first was introduced. I didn't watch Smallville, but I first found him on
Somebody
the US version of
me.
I mean, he was even in the most recent season of fucking Riverdale. He played a school professor there.
He was also in Supergirl, I forgot.
Supergirl. He was in Supergirl indeed. Yeah, man. I mean, like, he gets around. Like, Sam does a lot of work, and I mean, he's just a fantastic
it's like he's always
person.
in the geeky verse, which I love. I mean, he lives in here. I mean, I guess if I could have a career, I'd want to be kind of like Sam.
Yeah. No,
where
totally
you could
agree.
probably still go outside and have some sort of a normal life. But you've done like so much geeky pop culture shit that you're still known and you have a good life.
Yeah.
All right, man, let's switch it up. It's time for this week's version of the Top 5 Star Wars Fan Artist Features of the Week. This is how we do it. You got to be following us on Instagram at Star Wars Time Show. And if you put up some Star Wars art, it could be anything Star Wars. It doesn't just have to be toys. We love our toys over here, but we also love all things Star Wars art. So it could be paint, it could be real ass paint, tattoos, you name it. Tag us at Star Wars Time Show, the first tag, by the way. And then, just to be safe, use our hashtag Star Wars Time Show. So every day in the morning, you can come to our page on Instagram and you will see 12 brand new and fresh, excellent pieces of Star Wars fan art. And I do that every day, 7 days a week, pulling from those of you that tag us and use our hashtag in your Star Wars art. Then on show days, which is Tuesday, the live stream you may be listening or watching right now, is when Nick picks his 5 favorite out of those 7 days of 12 shares to discuss, to praise, to lick and caress on the show during, as I said, the Top 5 Star Wars Fan Artist Features of the Week. So, Nick, let's do it.
Let's do it. First one up this week in the top 5 is
this a back-to-back?
Our good friend. I think this might be a back-to-back.
Look at you. Press pause.
I was trying to remember. I was like, did Press Pause get in last week?
I think he was last week with another evil Luke. So you clearly have a thing for evil Luke.
Okay, yeah. Then it was him, because I was like, oh yeah, man, I'm like in an evil Luke mood. Like, I don't know what's happening right now, but fucking evil Luke is just pulling me in. And so it was last week. And this one is just fucking, it's like the evil Luke that we saw last week from Press Pause, like jacked up to 11, because he's got the whole fucking, he's got the red Skywalker family blade, his father's blade. You can see his dad behind him in the background, and he's even shooting. He's doing what his father could
he's showing
never
off.
do.
He's showing off the old daddy. He's like, ha ha, look, because you didn't think, you thought you could take the high ground. Look what I can do. Ha ha ha.
Yeah. Channeling the Force lightning through his fingers, and then you get those great fucking dark side Sith eyes. Just everything about this shot, the posing, the post-processing effects, everything about this shot
quality.
just screams fucking awesome.
I'll let everyone in on a secret. At Press Pause Photography has made it to the Matt needs to governor type of level. In terms of pretty much every shot Press Pause is putting out these days is share worthy. Yeah. So I either just have to pass on some that should be shared, or they're going to sit in the featured folder for a little bit and get, wait for a rainy day. But Press_Pause_Photography with a bonus underscore has really started to kind of hit his stride. It has a very clear way of creating his Star Wars toy art. And he's definitely someone, when I'm scrolling through now these days, I can go, that's a Press Pause, and I like it.
Yeah, it's just really beautiful and inspired work. I love how he's taking the, Luke, the essentially the paragon of the light for the entire Star Wars canon saga, and really giving him his dark turn, that alternate
the most impressive thing to me is he got one of those shitty Hasbro Jedi robes to actually flow over a character's head.
It does. That actually looks very good.
I think what he's using there, he's using those hyper reels again. He seems to be a big fan of the hyper reels. I like them too. I don't know if they're going to keep the line going. It doesn't seem so. It seems they stopped after everyone was like, "Oh my God, Luke sucks. He's all rubber." But it seems he's using the Black Series Jedi Knight Luke robe on this guy, and because this figure's slightly bigger, maybe it's making the hood fit better. But I mean, that's one of the most impressive things to me, just because I know how sometimes these hoods from Hasbro or these robes from Hasbro are as bunk as it gets. Like they just, you almost have to, stitch the hood down just to get it to flow a certain way, so it's not doing that the clan look.
Oof. Yeah. So, I mean, that on top of the posing, on top of the post-processing, on top of everything else in the shot, just a fantastic piece of work by @press.
No, he's great. I mean, a great follow. Like I said, everything out is definitely like-worthy. I had to just pass on his most recent one. I think he did a 1/6 scale Mando, and it's very nice, but it's like, you know what? Press pause is getting too much heat.
Yeah,
gotta cool
too
down.
much. We gotta cool you
he's
down.
In that. He's up there with Sir Dork now, Super Scoundrel, everything. The people, if they post, it's feature worthy. But I gotta watch it. All right, gotta tone it down.
You're in carbon freeze now. Press pause. So just be prepared. This next one up, I saw this and I literally thought it was a
piece of
screen
CG
grab
art,
from
right?
the show.
Yeah.
What?
You thought it was like CG, right?
Yeah, no, I did. I thought, I was like, oh wow, this is just like a screen grab from Clone Wars. But what it really is a fucking incredible shot from the Outer Rim on Instagram.
Yes.
And it is of the two Night brothers, Darth Maul, aka just Maul at this point.
All their last names are Maul.
Yeah, Maul and Savage Opress.
Yeah, Maul and Savage Maul Opress.
Yeah, and the incredible thing about this is, like, I don't know, like, the figures themselves obviously look amazing, but the posing job and the lightsaber effect that From the Outer Rim put on these lightsabers is literally matches pixel perfect to the lightsaber effects that are used in the show.
It's vibrant.
And that's what threw me off the most is, one, the shot itself is so crisp and clean that it looks like it came straight from the show, even if you didn't have the lightsabers. But that added lightsaber effect on both Maul and Savage Opress's sabers is literally the exact effect that they use in the show. And it fucking blew my mind.
Here's the intriguing part of this, Nick. These are either 3 3/4 inch scale figures. So like palm of your hand, tiny guys. Here's if you're on camera, I got my shirtless Maul here from Rebels. I mean, look how little this is if you're on the live stream. They're tiny. Absolutely tiny. So those are either 3 3/4 inch or a statue or full-on customs that From the Outer Rim printed and painted. Because those aren't 1/6 scale and those aren't 1/12 scale.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the shot that he posted like on his IG, and he doesn't say like what kind of figures it is or whether they're customs or not. But I mean, like this, it's just fucking mind blowing how good this looks. Like it literally looks like a grab from the fucking show.
Yep.
Like it's just so impressive.
And we're getting at, I mean, Connor's saying the same thing in the chat. At first, when he was scrolling through, he thought it was a screen grab. And that's when you know you've won the game of toy photography from the Outer Rim. So kudos there. If you're listening, I know you at least saw the flares went out that you're going to be talked about today. So if you're either live in the stream now, let us know. But are these 3 3/4 inch figures, statues, or customs?
Yeah. Also, the fact that this guy that From the Outer Rim, Riley, only has 1,100 followers is like disturbing in a way. Like how I mean, I know that From the Outer Rim has been featured in the past as well. Like,
no, it's a fun account. This account, they do some good stuff with scene recreations and characters that I don't know where they come from. Like this most recent one, that Boss Nass, I don't know what the fuck that is. That's not Black Series.
Yeah, I mean that is.
But it's somehow it's scaled up to go with the Black Series Jar Jar. And if you look at Jar Jar, like the color grading is spot on to the Phantom Menace.
Yeah,
I just shared this shot earlier, either today or yesterday, of it's like an Empire Strikes Back scene remake of Leia looking at the planning boards.
Okay,
but it's a great scene recreation. So no, I'm with you. From the Outer Rim, takes some great shots, does some great recreations, and seemingly mixes successfully 3 3/4 inch with the 6 inch, because this shot here of Palpatine and Anakin, that Anakin I know for a fact is the Black Series Anakin, but there is no Black Series or Palpatine like that. So I'm thinking From the Outer Rim has gotten really good at mixing scales, which is not an easy trick to pull off.
There you go, dude. That's pretty fucking cool. So give this person, I don't know, him, her, I don't know if it's a male or a female, give this person a follow at From the Outer Rim on Instagram.
Right.
I mean, shots like this, just mind-blowing. Incredible work.
All right, we're getting an update. I guess Rob Chase is he is an advocate for From the Outer Rim. He says they're 3 3/4 inch figs from the 3-pack. So I was right.
Wow. Okay. I mean,
but that's I wanted to highlight that because that makes it even more impressive. I mean, these things are fucking tiny, and they shouldn't have that amount of detail. So again, kudos From the Outer Rim.
Yeah, beautiful.
Oh, speaking of Rob Chase, here we go.
Yeah, speaking of Rob Chase, piping up at the right time, he's back in the top 5 at RobBBB_Chase. And, pop photography, Matt, that was your deal.
That's where I started,
back in the day. Yeah. And every now and then a pop shot makes their way in, but more recently, when a pop shot makes their way in, it's from Rob Chase.
No, Rob has become, in my opinion, and I'm not involved in that scene at all. I only see Rob's stuff through our hashtag or sometimes through the good old Toy Pops share session that a lot of us know about. Yeah, no one rivals what this person's putting out in terms of Funko Pop art.
Yeah, and I mean, this one here that we have is a very
insane,
pensive, I would say, very emotional Vader pop shot, which, one, you're like, emotional Vader doesn't go together to start with, and two, emotional Vader pop doesn't go together because the one thing that pops lack is emotion. So the fact that Rob Chase has been able to fucking take this little Vader pop and pull emotion out of this robotic being is incredible in itself. But you can literally see in this shot the shades of just sad boy Anakin coming out.
Nick, do you know what the blue butterflies are? Because those mean something as well.
That was like what was flying around Padme's head.
Grogu too, and Mando S2. Yeah. Apparently they're like force butterflies. That's the symbolism.
Yeah. Okay. So I remember.
So to me, he's like on Mustafar, reminiscing about his light side past. And like you said, I mean, you do see him feeling bummed out. There is a sense of depression coming out of this image. And here's the deal and why these are so impressive. Vader's head is attached with a goddamn spring.
Yeah.
These are fucking bobbleheads. Okay? So Rob either has to bend and manipulate the head and steel into position, or somehow after the fact uses Photoshop to readjust Vader's head tilt. So that's a thing of beauty and impressive. The other thing, these cocksuckers at Funko, for some reason, only on the Star Wars line, include a base with these pops. Yeah. And over the past 2 or 3 years, someone at Funko HQ had the brilliant idea of super gluing the pop to the fucking base. Like the base has peg stands to go in the peg holes in the feet. Yet they made the decision at the fucking factory to super glue the pop. Here we go. This might even be the same Vader we're looking at. Mine's the shiny one here. Look, it's fucking glued to the base. Glued. Okay? So he probably either had to, again, wipe it out, or I remember what I had to do. You soak them in hot water, loosen up the glue, get a knife out, try not to fucking scratch up the pop in the base, and pry the damn thing off just so you can shoot it like a normal human, because not all Funko Pops have to be on a base.
Yeah.
Only Star Wars does it, Nick. There's no other pop line that does it. For some reason, Star Wars and Marvel had to have the bobblehead, which is stupid. And then Star Wars only has to have a fucking base.
Yeah. It's insane to me that they made it so unusable for literally no
So that
reason.
also is impressive. Just prepping this damn thing to make this work of art that Rob did is impressive. At this point, setting this shot up, he's given us some a peek behind the curtain. Apparently, he used a toothpick to angle the head. So bravo. But at this point in my toy photography stage, if I was trying to set up this shot, Vader's head would probably be missing. Because I would have ripped it off just trying to get the damn base off, or stabbed myself with a knife trying to pry the base off. But just to kind of wrap this back, I mean, this is artwork, all right? Yes, it's toy photography, but there are times in this hobby where I consider it to cross over into full-on artwork. It's all artwork, sure. But this is like high art, right? High art, not, you smoke weed and you look at it. It's high, it's refined, it's a poster. I mean, this is Funko itself doesn't create images this pleasing looking.
No, not even a little.
So
bit, not
Rob,
even close, so.
Love what you're doing with the pops. Even though I don't collect them anymore, I still do appreciate where I came from and the $20,000+ they made me selling them. Thank you. But it truly is masterful to see what this guy is doing with these fucking static pops glued to bases and just producing an image like this.
Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful work. At Rob, ROBBB _Chase on Instagram. So go give him a follow. Next up in the top 5, we have, I believe this is a first time top 5 entry here, and also a very popular shot with the community. Over 1,100 likes on our share. This is from Dylansta, DYLAN.
Dylansta 9.
Dylansta 9 on Instagram. And what we have is a rare Knights of Ren shot, but it almost is like a samurai.
Oh, no,
it's
a custom. I guess we should just go look at his post because he gave him a name. But what Dylan 9 did is he created or he tweaked the Knights of Ren figure to make it look radical. I mean, he gave him, he's got like old school Flash helmet wings on his helmet. He's got like a medieval knight visor on his helmet. He's got shin pads, knee pads. The armor's different on the top, and then he's impaling a Hoth Rebel soldier. The cape's fluttering in the air. I don't know. To me, what I first reacted to is this custom Knight of Ren. I fucking love that thing.
Yeah, it definitely catches your eye immediately. I mean, like, you look at this and you can see, like, okay, the helmet, if you know Star Wars, that it's a Knight of Ren. But like you said, everything else that Dylan did to this figure just gave it such a pop and flair that, like, you can't help but be drawn into the image. And, with the red ignited lightsaber kind of, like you said, impaling, going right through the chest of this Hoth Rebel scout, like, it's just such an evocative image.
Yeah,
like, holy
that's
shit.
a good way to describe it. It is. It'll evoke something from you. I mean, it's pretty brutal. But like I said, that custom knight is what initially caught my eye, and I kind of like the grading Dylan's goes with. He usually uses a darker tone in a lot of his images, but the knight and just how he stitched all those random pieces together to create effectively a new character. I'm always a fan watching what people do with their toys and turn them into other toys. Definitely.
So at Dylansta, DYLANSTA 9 on Instagram. So go give him a follow. I mean, just incredible custom work there on this.
It's a pop breakdown week. I didn't know that.
It's a pop breakdown week. Matt's surprised. Woo! But don't worry, it's not something from way back in the day. Right. But before we get there, we have our last entry in the top 5 this week, and that's from @ScaleGalaxy on Instagram. And we have a pretty awesome shot here where you're seeing our good friends Anakin and Obi-Wan from the Rots days in conversation with Commander Cody and Captain Brex.
It's the generals and their direct reports.
Exactly. And I just I don't think this is definitely not a scene recreation unless it's something that was pulled from the Clone Wars.
No, it's not. It's just a shot.
But yeah, it's just a shot, and it's just such a clean shot that, like you said, shows off 4 very iconic characters and what is very likely a common occurrence during the Clone Wars. During the times of battle, these 4 would definitely have to get together and break down strategy, whether and figure out how they're going to take out this CIS emplacement or what's the update on Grievous? What do we know? And I just love the setup, and I love the use of these 4 characters in this.
And it also just goes to show the sheer quality of the Hot Toys brand.
Yeah, the 1/6
because
scale.
these are all 1/6 scale. I mean, that Rex in the background is really getting me excited to one day get my Clone Wars Rex 1/6 scale, but I mean that's years away. The way Sideshow is shipping their Hot Toys figures now, I might get it 10 years down the road. IG-11 just got delayed again. He was supposed to come out in November. He's delayed again. But yeah, I mean, Hot Toys for the win. I'm kind of glad I made that transition. I just wish I could cut down the smaller stuff a bit. But at scale Galaxy, it's a nice little digirama shot. The background and foreground light matches pretty well. Mm-hmm. I would assume a fairly easy setup, but sometimes easy setups can produce good looking shots. I mean, honestly, I love easy setups. You all know me here. If shit gets too intricate, I blow a gasket. I'm ridiculous. Just to put it into perspective, it's just not toy stuff. Last Friday, I had one of my most embarrassing moments as a father in how I act in front of my daughter.
Oh, no.
When, after the whole week, I'm working, doing my thing, teaching, Star Warsing, being locked up because I still believe in doing the right thing. So on the weekends, especially up north here when it's nice, I want to go outside, sit on my deck, start a fire in my solo stove, and watch some TV outside. Nick, I now have a full-on surround sound system for outside. I have a subwoofer, I have a stream bar, and I have rear speakers. They're all wireless from Roku. Okay. But anyways, I get everything set up because, it's a nice day. I looked at the weather earlier. Nothing. It's going to be a perfect day. Okay. Just go outside. I drag out a 55-inch TV right now because I still don't feel like doing the projector yet. I might actually buy a new one so we can start watching the projector before it's fucking 9:30, so it's dark enough. But anyways, it takes like 30 minutes. I drag everything out. I sit down. I start having a beer. And out of nowhere, I start to see dark skies.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. I just fucking looked. I looked at radar, everything, nothing. So I pull my phone back up. It starts beeping. Warning, tornado, flash flood, lightning storm. And I'm like, what? It's fucking Friday. I'm hungry. I've been starving myself all week. I've been working my ass off all week in the gym, the Haywood gym. I just want to have my usual Friday play out. I want to sit on the deck. I want to eat some good food, drink some good IPA beer, and watch some TV in front of a fire. And then that happens. I see that. So then it starts to kick in like the universe is fucking me over. The universe is going to fuck me over. It's going to fuck me over. And then it just starts spiraling out of control. Now I start making my thoughts known to the world because now not only is Dad's day ruined, but now he's got to ruin everyone else's day because I am that piece of shit. I'm one of those pieces of shit when they're in a bad mood or they're not feeling good that then you try to take everyone else down with you. So here I am, 40 years old on a Friday night outside screaming, fuck you, universe! Why do you do this to me? I just wanted a fucking fire and you ruined my whole fucking weekend. I get 2 fucking days a week to enjoy myself. Ah! Ah! Just craziness. Like, this isn't a show. It's not for fun. I don't think I'm being funny while I'm doing it. In fact, while I'm doing it, I know it's the wrong thing to do, but I'm still too fucked up to stop myself from doing it. It was so bad that I guess Heather had to take Charlie, not like away from me, like I was killing people. But she just realized at that point, like, okay, we've already seen Charlie react this way to things that don't go her way, so clearly I've been rubbing off on the wrong way. So she took her away, and what Charlie said to my wife, Daddy does what I do sometimes, and now I can see how bad it is. And I'm like, oh my God. So, I mean, my wife tried to like spin my horrible behavior. She's like, well, at least you gave me a teaching moment with her where she actually realized how ridiculous you were acting, but she was able to associate it to her own meltdowns over nonsense. That it was a good learning moment. But me as a person that does that, and then once the dust settles and the Hulk goes away and Banner comes back, I feel like the biggest failure loser of all time.
Oh, man.
I mean, it's like where you wake up on Saturday, and I'm not drunk, people. I mean, I had like a beer, so don't even blame this on I had a buzz. This is just how I get sometimes when things don't go my way. Just like when Luke's fucking hand wouldn't go on. In my head, I had a certain number of tries to get it on. When it went over that number, see ya! That's when shit just fucking, literally, the hamster in there quits, it goes on strike or something, and I start to melt like a freak.
Jumps off the
wheel.
So
don't be me.
It's over.
Don't be me. Just because it doesn't go your way doesn't mean you need to flamethrow the entire evening and everyone else around you.
Well, there you go. So, but I will tell you one thing that's not going to make you hit those levels of frustration are these shots from the top 5, like this one here from @ScaleGalaxy. So thank you everybody for submitting shots this week for the top 5. It was a banger of a top 5 for sure. Just absolutely incredible artwork all the way down the row. And now we're getting into the Haywood Pop Shot breakdown of the week, and it's one of Matt's more recent shots. So Matt,
oh shit, yeah, I just put the I think I shot this 2 weeks ago, and probably released it last week.
So yeah. What are we looking at, Matt? And tell us how you
what we're looking at
this.
here, I'm still rolling with JMB. Remember, Jason B. Michael was on here, and he suggested or challenged me. He's like, you know what? Take that 100 millimeter macro off and go back to your 50 millimeter fix for a little bit. And while I did, I still find myself wanting to get really close and making them look life-size versus a more pulled-out shot. But either way, I shot this with a 50 millimeter fix, and we are looking at a very fantastic concept sculpt of Kylo Ren. So here's a little story behind this sculpt we're looking at, because it's clearly not the Kylo Ren Ben Solo we got in TLJ and Tross. So at the end of The Force Awakens, a person, an artist that we know of by the name of Venomous, was trying to figure out or conceptualize what Kylo may look like after getting his face slashed by Rey. So he came up with it, and I think it's fucking awesome. He came up with this sculpt where Kylo is essentially bald and has a scar that goes from his cheek all the way up into his cranium, kind of like where Darth Vader had some gashes in his head. And then there's also another scar over across his eye, kind of like Anakin had before he became Darth Vader. And then a customizer, a 3D genius in the community that a lot of you will know, Figureworks Co., decided to turn it into a 3D printable face sculpt for Black Series figures. So that's the story of this look of Kylo and why he is bald and looks a lot more mean than he did in TLJ. So it's kind of like a what if Kylo, right? Like if Kylo truly embraced his badness and stuck with it and really started to become disfigured from it. I think this is kind of where things were going if Colin was staying on episode 9, because you remember he was fucking with Vader's helmet or something, and it starts to like graft itself on his face, and he really gets disfigured and fucked up looking.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of speculation that at the end of TFA that, like we're going to get like eventually he might not have like the big disastrous moment like Anakin had, but like eventually over time, like he'll take enough beating to where he does kind of form into that like Vader. Yeah,
he was doing so much dark side voodoo with objects, like they started to graft onto his face. And it didn't go that way in TLJ. So that's the Kylo I'm working with. So it's one of my cheap customs. It's just a TFA body, and then I'm using the Figureworks Co. head, which was technically first designed by Venomous. And they both noticed the shot, left some nice comments, and shared it on their story. So appreciate Venomous and Figureworks Co. for that. But it's just, it's just a shot of Kylo, I think, looking menacing. He's got some of his snow troopers behind him. I shot this down in my basement, so this is indoor, so it's all artificial lighting using mostly lume cubes, and then my main overhead light that I love, and I got this tip from Plastic Action. It's an Aukey, AUKEY desk lamp. It just gives you very nice uniform looking white light or warm light, if you will. So I typically use that as my overhead. And like I said, in the background, you got some of the First Order snow troopers in there. The one's got his hood on. I just set it up real cheap, set up on my table. I had a little styrofoam background behind it, a little chintzy 1/12 scale like army dio in front of it, just to give the shot a little more scenery, because I suffer from creating scenes and tend to just go for portraits. So I'm trying to get better at posing and adding more to a scene. So that's really the genesis of this shot, and I don't really hate it. I think that like the posing is particularly good, especially in the background figures. They're definitely like, following in lockstep with their commander, and even the pose from Kylo, kind of looking off. Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I still struggle with posing like a motherfucker. It just, I can get close. I think it looks good in the viewfinder, but then when I go to the iPad to start whittling down shots, I'm like, you didn't quite hit the mark again, pal. You can always, better luck next time.
Well, hey, I think that you can see some clear progress here happening with this shot. So it's definitely a very clean, nice looking shot, in my opinion, at least. So
all right, rock and roll.
But
I'm trying to be less hateful on myself these days. My newer stuff, obviously, I hope my newer stuff looks better than shit that's 3 or 4 years old. But a lot of it is I'm just getting back to, you know what? I do this for me. I like it. I'm going to post when I feel like it. I don't give a fuck. Who cares about all the likes and shit? So I'm trying, people. It's been about a 2-year journey to try to get to a more positive place with toy photography. But I'm getting better. I've maintained at least 1 shoot a week. It's still way down from what I used to. When I started this hobby, Nick, it was almost every day I was out there trying to do something. And I know most of them looked like shit, but I love that nonstop doing it. And so these days, just getting back to doing it 1 day a week, it feels good.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Well, slow climb back up to that, more often, doing those shoots more often. But you know what? Take small steps to get there. So that's the end of the top 5. That's the end of Matt's shot breakdown for the week. And that's the end of the show.
That's right.
So Matt, take us home to the end of this episode.
Okay, if you're on the live stream, I am not sitting here rubbing myself underneath the desk. There, now you can see the tail popping up, but Leia, my piggy cat, decided to jump up, and for some reason she's like burying herself. Oh, here she is. There she is. Look at her. Oh, you little piggy cat. You little piggy cat. Stop eating so much. Okay. Let me put the show to bed, and then you can jump up. All right, as Nick said, it's time to say goodbye to the Star Wars Time Show. We went way past our initial estimate of show length, but that's what you get with the Star Wars Time Show. No Patreons to give you shitty leaks that are stupid, and you're usually going to get anywhere from 3 to 4 hours of time to kill. I always love it, and I always know we've gone too long when people start the show with us, Nick, and then they come back in hours later and say, holy fuck, you guys are still going. So that's either good or bad, but either way, it's time to say goodbye, and when we say goodbye, we like to dance a little bit. So here we go. We're shaking, we're shimmying, and we're going to that StarWarsTime.net. It's the best on the internet, even though it's not a com, but we still like it because it's StarWarsTime.net. All right, so StarWarsTime.net, that's where you can get all of our content. That's where we're going to put up our topics that we're going to talk about on the show for the most part. And more importantly, it's how you can get looped in with the Star Wars Time Show, especially if you're new. If you're new and you're still here, we've tricked you and we have not offended you yet, or we have not been too woke for you yet, but we may get there. But before you cancel us, we'd love for you to go to StarWarsTime.net and follow us and leave some ratings and reviews on our various podcast platforms. We're on all the good ones. It really doesn't matter. I say them all the time. I'll say it again. Apple, Google, Spotify, TuneIn, Pandora, Stitcher, iHeart, Deezer, RSS if you want the feed, just to look at the code. Who knows? We are there. We are available for you. But we do need you to actually subscribe. If you do listen on a podcast platform, please at least say subscribe, remember, favorites, add. And even better, if you could leave us a review or a rating with a review, that is better than Patreon. All right? Because that tells the bots out there that other humans, other organic beings are dumb enough to like the Star Wars Time show. So the next time an idiot types in best Star Wars podcast, we'll be inching closer and closer to the top of the charts. I think one of my favorite fans and how they found the show was based on, they said our logo looked cheesy enough to give it a try. But he would have never seen the Lego without ratings and reviews on the Apple platform, Google, Pandora, so on and so forth. So please, 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 if you know other people, if you are a super fan, we love you, but we already know you're here and we already know you're loyal, so we don't have to kiss your ass anymore. What we need you to do is go out and get other people that are as gullible as you to buy into this nonsense on a weekly basis. Because we do want Sam Witwers. We do want bigger guests. We do want Barris Offees on this show. But as Spencer has finally learned, it takes an audience to get the guests. And we just don't have a big enough one yet. But it can keep going. If you know some screwball out there that likes this kind of off-brand Star Wars talk, fill them in. There is always time for Star Wars time. You all know it. Let's convince some other suckers to learn it. All right? There's always time for Star Wars time. And besides, if you listen to the Star Wars Time show, the Force will be with you. Always.
On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, Matt and Nick may have too many topics to talk about after the past few months of the Star Wars news drought. They've got all sorts of rumor and speculation pieces to cover, such as Qui-Gon in Kenobi, Din in the Book of Boba, and even a possible Ahsoka series description. After they're done lamenting the fact that leakers get credit for the same speculation they spew on the show, Matt will break down the latest High Republic comic while Nick lays down Phase 2 for the books. They'll also have some Bad Batch episode count news and a few new toy reveals to discuss before they launch into this week's fan segment, which features a Star Wars v Marvel Battle Bracket update, fan responses to the question of the week, and the top 5 Star Wars artist features of the week. Enough Star Wars for ya? Punch it, Chewie!